The Blues have numbers. Stenberg up to Bukestad. Skates in. Shoot! Scores! Nick Bukestad shorthanded with Otto Stenberg up the ice. Fakes the shot and beats Busey for the Hurricanes. Now Tucker in. Neighbors right in front. Dvorsky scores! Excellent passing between Tucker and Neighbors. Right in front of Dvorsky, and he lifts it over Busey's hand. Drop pass, shot, scores! Jimmy Snuggerud skating in. Kyrou with the drop pass, and Snuggerud unleashes the snipe. The clock will wind down, and that'll close this one down. Joel Hofer with the save, the shutout, and the Blues pick up the win.
That's what it sounded like right here on your home of the Blues 101 ESPN last night as Alex Ferrario was on the call starting in the second period. Is it causation, correlation? Some are wondering, did the Blues season turn with Alex Ferrario on the call? I don't know, Alex. I would say this. I'd like to find out.
I'm going to do justice for all the Blues fans. If I would be the good luck charm and they go on a run because of me, I'll step off the mic.
Hey, man, you stepped in for Curbs in the second period, and all I'm saying is they were tied in a scoreless game when the second period began, and when the second period came to its conclusion, they were up 3-0, and that's the way the game ended.
You know, I did. I guess if I want to pat myself on my back here, I did extend that win streak to tie franchise record last season. Got it to 11, and then Curbs was able to get it to 12.
See?
So I took it to 11. Man, maybe I am a good luck charm, T-Bone.
It's
I don't know what else I can do.
It's all from Alex Ferrario.
Picks, so stay off the mic.
I mean, my picks were pretty great. And pick 'em, I was pretty good, too.
Yeah, that's true.
This golden touch, T-Bone, whatever it touches, it's just gold.
Blues win last night 3-0 against the Carolina Hurricanes, a game that I didn't foresee. That's for damn sure.
Me neither.
Went up against one of the best teams in the league and played maybe their best game of the season. I mean, overall, they were really good in basically every area. Defensively, really solid. In net, pretty darn good. Offensively, like they just looked connected would be the word that I would use to describe them last night. The passing was crisp. They had a couple of odd man rushes going in the other direction. Their defense turned into offense. It just looked structured. And they were without their maybe best defenseman.
Oh, best defenseman.
Without arguably their best forward. And it just didn't matter last night. They looked like a good team. Now, it was one game. This is the outlier, not the continuation of something more significant. But what was your biggest takeaway from that game last night, Alex?
I mean, my biggest takeaway was the young players and what they did in a heightened role. There's no coincidence. Jim Montgomery said it after the game. That was the smartest game they have played this season. They had a game plan. They stuck to it. They wanted to make sure that Carolina was going back to retrieve pucks and that the Blues were heavy on them on the forecheck. So that was a game to the T that the Blues wanted to play, and they matched it. But watching them play, I mean, I was impressed by how well they played defensively. Hofer made some timely saves. I was most impressed by Dvorsky, Snuggerud, Stenberg. They had heightened roles in that game. Because of Robert Thomas's injury, everybody got bumped up a little bit. Stenberg played on your top line along with Snuggerud with Braden Shen. That was the best line last night on the ice. Also played against Sebastian Aho, Nikolai Ehlers, and Svechnikov. Shut them down. Yeah, easy night for those guys. And then the other one was Dalibor Dvorsky, who centered the second best line in that hockey game. You're in that weird phase of a season to where the season sucks. Joey has said it multiple times, like this is the worst part of the season as a player, 40 to 60, because you're not playing for playoffs. You're just trying to bide your time to get to a break. But on top of that, your team is bad, and you're still learning the NHL level for a lot of these guys. They were thrust into that role against one of the best teams in the National Hockey League, and they not only played sound defensively, but they came up with opportune moments and they capitalized. Stenberg creating that odd man rush for Bukestad on the penalty kill. Dvorsky going immediately to the net to pick up the rebound, and Snuggerud showcasing his offensive ability. That takeaway for me last night was you're seeing the signs of what the Blues are hoping can usher them into a consistent winning window.
Yeah, and then add on top of that, as a young guy, quote unquote, I would add Hofer in that. I mean, you mentioned he made a couple of timely saves for him. anytime he's in the net, I feel like they've got a chance to win. I don't know if they're going to win because they're having a bad year, but when he's in the net, I feel like there's a chance. When Bennington's in the net, I don't think they're going to win. And that's just been the way it's played out. I mean, he made a couple of really big saves, especially early in that second period where there's the scramble in front. He's able to relocate the puck, make a glove save somehow. I don't know how exactly. And it keeps it 0-0 rather than jumping to 1-0. Because without their best players, I thought for sure that game was going to have to be Hofer would carry him through it, making a bunch of big timely saves. But he wasn't necessarily needed because you're right. A bunch of the young guys stepped up. I thought that was going to be 3-0 in favor of Carolina, and it was going to be like 33-15 were shots on goal.
Agreed. And you left the first period, and I know that the game was tied. Oh, I disagree. I thought after the first period, I was like, they're playing them even.
Yeah.
I thought
they had a bad first 5-6 minutes where they got stuck in their own end and couldn't get the puck out. Hofer made some saves, but I also think they did a good job of keeping it to one-shot chances. About the midway point of that first period, the Blues finally settled down, and they started forechecking and forcing Carolina to make plays.
I saw
and blocking a ton of shots.
Yes, that was the big thing.
Because I saw the early portion that you just mentioned there, the first where you saw Carolina get in on the cycle a little bit. I thought, okay, here we go again, second period. Like, again, first period, they weren't outplayed. They were with them.
That's
but
all
I
I'm
expected
saying.
the second period to go, like, south completely because of the
I thought the
forecheck.
whole game was going to be a landslide. I thought everything was just going to be tilted so far in Carolina's direction. I know that it's the second night of a back-to-back. There's a lot of different caveats you could put on this. It doesn't matter normally. The Blues win against a good team. They look bad more often than not this season. Last night they didn't. Last night they looked really good. And, man, I really just enjoy watching. I'll pinpoint one of those young players that you mentioned there, Alex. I really have found myself enjoying watching Otto Stenberg.
Yeah.
He's a very good hockey player, a well-rounded hockey player. He has hockey sense on the ice that you don't often see from a young player. It's different in the way that he does it, but it kind of reminds me of Jake Neighbors when we first saw him get an extended opportunity at the NHL level, where Neighbors wasn't this highly touted prospect. He was a guy that was a prospect, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't the same level as Jimmy Snuggerud or Robert Thomas, for example. There wasn't the same hype for him. But then you see him on the ice, and it looked as though he was a 10-year veteran once he got to the NHL level. Stenberg has that same feel. Now, Stenberg is more defensive-oriented and a distributor, as opposed to Neighbors, where you could see he was just an old school, park your ass in front of the net, score 25 goals a year for the next decade. So they go about it in different ways, but the conclusion is somewhat similar in that both appear to be older and more mature than their age and experience would suggest at this level.
I'm glad you said him. Oshie talked about this on the broadcast last night on the television side, and he said that, he was talking with Ray Barilli, the Blues trainer, and after that Hall of Fame ceremony on Monday night, Barilli had told Oshie that Stenberg came up to him after all of those guys talked and said, man, I want to be a part of this. Snuggerud said it last night after the game that you start to really learn more and more what it meant to be a Blues player. I do think that ceremony Monday night really leaked off into some of these guys, and watching Stenberg play, I was most impressed by Jimmy Snuggerud in that game because not only is he good offensively, you see the potential with that shot. He's had 45 shot attempts in the last 4 games, guys. Like, he is just shooting a clinic right now. He just got to start to see more go in. But he's so good in his own end. He's coming up with defensive plays. He's got that two-way mindset. Jim Montgomery said Dalibor Dvorsky had the best 200-foot game of any player last night in that hockey game. I think those three, no matter what the projections are for them, they are the embodiment of what the Blues thought when they were believing they could turn this thing around quickly. Now, I don't know what it's going to look like. It's going to take some years to get comfortable and rise to that level of taking over hockey games. But each individual player, Stenberg, we've made the comp, Montgomery made the comp to that Jesper Bratt from New Jersey. Man, I see it in him. He's got the playmaking ability. He finds guys and is on the penalty kill more times than not.
I really feel as though the Cardinals and the Blues are in similar spots. And I'm talking about like the Cardinals from a year ago. I think the Blues have a lot of players that are the hockey equivalent of Mason Wynn, Brendan Donovan, Lars Nootbaar, Ivan Herrera, Michael McGreevy, just really solid contributors towards winning. Tommy Edman, like, I think they've contributed, or they've developed a lot of these guys that can contribute toward winning. What I question and have questioned in the past is, do you have the guys that you can really win because of? Do you have the top line level players that drive the offense night in and night out, the way that we see from Florida, the way that we see from some of these other top contenders across the NHL? This season, the answer to that has been a definitive no. We saw Robert Thomas do it for a couple of months last year at the end of the season. Maybe there's something that's nagging him this year. We've seen him now miss last night's game, and he's missed some time earlier in the season as well. That's entirely possible, and maybe it's just injury related. But whatever the case, whatever the explanation, excuse, however you want to view it, this is a team that for the last 4 or 5 years has lacked those top line caliber players. And I don't know, I personally don't view anybody that is on the roster right now as being that. I think that Snuggerud is a good player with the potential to score 30 goals in any given season. I don't know that he's the go-to guy on a contender. Jake Neighbors, really good player. Probably more of a top 6 player or that third piece on a top line as opposed to one of the top 2 players on an NHL Stanley Cup kind of contender. Same thing for Stenberg, middle 6 forward. Same thing for Dvorsky, middle 6 center to me. I think they've got a lot of good players. I do think they are lacking those elite options, and that is how you get yourself to the next level.
I agree with your statement. They don't have a guy that just changes the dynamic of a game. Because when I think of that, I'll look at the New Jersey Devils. They don't have a Jack Hughes. I look at Toronto. They don't have an Austin Matthews. They don't have a Matthew Tkachuk. That's why I think a lot of Blues fans are hoping that this season, if it continues poorly, you go out there and get that guy. I thought Thomas was it. It's obvious he is not. He's too inconsistent, at least at this point of his career. I do think they have 2 guys, 3 if you'll put Holloway in this, but Holloway underperformed this season. But how we felt about Holloway last season on that hot stretch down the end, I think they've got 2 guys that resemble that. I think Snuggerud and Stenberg have that ability. I think they have the ability to be top-line wingers with that elite playmaker. They still need that. But when I see Stenberg perform like this with an underperforming offense, Jim Montgomery made the comp to Jesper Bratt. I see that. And that's a 75, 80-point player at his best. And I think Jimmy Snuggerud's got a lot of Cole Caulfield in him. Cole Caulfield last year emerged as that star with Suzuki on the top line. It's going to take a little bit more seasoning to get there. Those are the 2 that I see that potential with. I don't know if Dvorsky's there. I think Dvorsky at best is the second-line center, but a middle 6 center. And I think Neighbors is what he is. He's a role player that you have success with. And then the other ones, Carbonneau and Jiricek, we're going to wait to find out. I think Snuggerud and Stenberg are it.
He's Alex Ferrario. That is Tanner Hendrickson. I'm Brandon Kiley. Shout out to our guy Alex for what he was able to do last night, stepping in for Curbs. Curbs' voice was shot. Yeah. Alex needed to do the second and third period. So really good work by you. We've had a number of people on the text line saying something to the effect of really excellent job filling in for Curbs last night on the broadcast. Kudos to you for doing so on short notice. Wanted to make sure that we gave a little bit of love to our guy Alex for what he was able to do on the broadcast last night. Coming up at the end of this hour, we'll get into questions and answers. 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line to get involved in the show. It's 11:16. Your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. You can always watch us over on the YouTube page at youtube.com/101ESPN-STL. It's also where you'll find the latest edition of the Last Minute Blues podcast. They recorded that earlier today. It will be posted soon over on the YouTube page as well. Coming up next, news yesterday for the Cardinals of that Nolan Arenado was traded to the Arizona Diamondbacks. They apparently were not the only NL West team, though, that was interested in Nolan Arenado's services. We'll give you the other team, how we view that next here on 101 ESPN. Alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK, Nolan Arenado was traded yesterday to the Arizona Diamondbacks. And at the time, there was a reporter from Arizona who said, hey, there were multiple teams interested in Nolan Arenado's services, and ultimately he decided, I want to go to Arizona.
Okay.
That was basically my reaction as well.
Okay.
And this morning, Ken Rosenthal of The Athletic put in his story that there was one other National League West team that was indeed interested in Nolan Arenado.
The Dodgers. How great is that? The Cardinals said, no, you can't go to L.A. We're going to Arizona.
It was the San Diego Padres.
Oh.
And according to Ken Rosenthal,
Arenado for Tatis Jr.
they wanted Nolan Arenado to play first base. Now, apparently, they wanted him to play first base, and they also basically wanted him to play for free. They wanted the Cardinals to eat more than what they did for the Diamondbacks, and the Cardinals ate nearly the entire deal.
He's only making $11 million the rest of the way.
Correct. So I'm guessing they wanted like $5 million total for the next 2 years for Nolan Arenado to play first base for them. Yet not happening.
It makes sense, though. San Diego already doesn't have cap space.
So, yes, they were interested in him. Kinda. They were interested in a cheap player that has some history of having success to play first base for them.
AKA all 30 teams in baseball.
100%. Like a major league caliber player. And say what you will about Nolan Arenado. He's a major league caliber player at this stage of his career. A good one? I don't know. Probably not. But a major league caliber player nonetheless. And if you can get that for $2 million, I mean, think about the players that this offseason have signed for like 10. Many of them are not as good as Nolan Arenado. And that's not to suggest that Arenado is still this world beater. It just doesn't take a whole lot for you to be a $10 million major league hitter at this point in the way that baseball is structured. So I don't think they were a legitimate option for Arenado. I think they just basically said, hey, if you can't find another suitor, we'll take him off of your hands so that way you don't have to release him. So it is clear the Cardinals were never going to have to release him. If nothing else, that is what has come over the last 2 days, is that we've found out, all right, there were legitimate options on the table for the Cardinals to move him off of the books. What was your reaction, Alex, when you saw, all right, there was multiple teams in that scenario?
I mean, look, once you find out more of the details that, yeah, they were interested and they wanted the Cardinals to pay more money, I think 29 teams probably would have said, we'll take Nolan Arenado for free if you're handing him away. But in all reality, like, there was a balancing act here if you're Chaim Bloom that, yes, we want to get rid of him, and yes, we're willing to pay down his salary, but we're also not just going to pay his entire salary to go away. There will be teams, hopefully, that are interested in taking him on when we don't have to eat all of his salary. So, yes, the Padres were interested. I would imagine other teams probably called, too, and said, if you're giving him away for free, we're here for it. I think this... Sure, they were interested, but the Diamondbacks were the one that realistically, and one of the few, I have to imagine, or maybe one of the only, that said, yeah, we'll take him on and you don't have to eat all of the salary. Maybe the Angels were in that conversation as well, but I don't buy that teams really wanted Nolan Arenado. I think they really wanted Nolan Arenado for less than $5 million.
Yeah, everybody loves free stuff at any part of life.
I'll take free stuff any day of the week.
Major league hitter, or you can get something free from the grocery store. Everybody loves free stuff.
Amen.
But I think they did have then a market that I underestimated, because especially if teams like San Diego, and they're the only one that's been reported that we're willing to do this, we're going to consider him at first base. Because remember, that was reported last year that Arenado was telling teams, hey, I'd be willing to move off of third. And I thought, who would do that? Because the best value he's bringing at this point in his career is his defense. It's nothing to do with his bat.
The irony is, we said the Padres at the time.
Yeah. That's what makes it interesting. And that's probably where some more teams could have gotten involved if they looked at this and said, okay, we don't really need a third baseman, but a first baseman, okay, well, maybe he can be good. Gold glove caliber guy at first, and it's a little bit easier than having to play the hot corner at this point in his career, especially for a guy that had a shoulder / a finger injury that he dealt with last year. So they clearly had a market we're going to be able to move on from him. But the best job then from Chaim was to find a team that was willing to take on a little bit more money than just giving him away for free and having to eat the whole contract to go play elsewhere. So it kind of proved to be a great, I don't know if I'd call it a great find, but a really good move from Chaim Bloom to go to the team and say, hey, whoever's willing to take on a little bit more money can have Arenado, and we will just take a lottery ticket prospect. And then Arizona said, yeah, we'll do it.
All right, so the other piece from Ken Rosenthal's story that I found to be interesting, he said, assuming that the Cardinals trade Brendan Donovan, Nolan Gorman, Thomas Saggese, and J.J. Weatherholt are the most likely beneficiaries of the Arenado deal. He said Weatherholt's the 7th overall pick in 2024, can play second or third, but he isn't going to displace Mason Wynn, who recently won his first Gold Glove. None of that is particularly shocking news for us here in St. Louis, but noteworthy nonetheless. I put together, Alex, yesterday, my way too early Cardinals projected opening day lineup.
Okay.
I will go ahead and share this with you the way that I did yesterday on Twitter to, man, some great reactions on social media, because that's the way that it goes.
Are we going to do mean tweets here? Because that would be good.
Do we have music bed for that?
I can give you a few of them.
Lineup.
My personal projected lineup for opening day is as follows. Batting leadoff and playing shortstop for the St. Louis Cardinals,
playing shortstop,
Mason Wynn. Batting second and playing second, J.J. Weatherholt.
Oh, my gosh. You're putting him at second? What is wrong with you?
Batting third and playing catcher, Ivan Herrera. Batting cleanup and playing at first base, Alec Burleson.
I don't see what's wrong with this.
Batting fifth and playing at third is Thomas Saggese. The 6-hole hitter in left field is Lars Nootbaar. The 7-hole hitter in right is Jordan Walker. My designated hitter, batting eighth, is Nolan Gorman. And in center field, you have Victor Scott II.
Surely the tweets are about Gorman being too low in the
Now,
lineup.
most of the tweets
too high.
in response were, this looks terrible. 60 wins incoming. 4 automatic outs. Lars Nootbaar sucks. Please get him out of here. Please get Newt off of our team. Ouch. 72 wins. Gonna be a long year. Oh my God. Gorman at DH. You really think Herrera is catching again? Praying that all of those 6 through 9 hole hitters will not be here next year. Until Donovan's gone, that's our third baseman. I still think Donnie's back. Not very exciting. Are we going to see Blaze Jordan this year?
What?
You get the idea.
In the mind of a Cardinals fan right now.
Preto over Saggese.
What?
Yeah,
What?
That one seems
Whatever.
kind
That
of
one
fair.
should be banned from social media.
I don't think so.
The reason that I bring this up, and T-Bone's got a different idea of what he would do with the lineup, and it basically
It's got those 9 guys, though.
Yeah, it's got the same people.
I wonder why. Because there's no other good ones.
This is your lineup. I'm not telling you to be excited about it. You can react to it however you would like. But the Cardinals are not presenting this as something that it isn't. They're not trying to tell you we're going to win 95 games next year, and if you squint and have some patience with us, we'll get there. They are making it very clear what the plans are. They traded away Wilson Contreras and said, we're getting younger. Then they traded away Sonny Gray and said, we're getting younger. And then they traded away Nolan Arenado and said, we're going younger. And they're probably going to trade away Brendan Donovan and continue to say, we're getting younger. And they might trade away Lars Nootbaar too, and once again say, yeah, we got to get younger.
Sounds like Twitter is okay with it. They get rid of Lars Nootbaar.
Yeah, that's the one guy that appears to be
Not too upset about that one, or Gorman as well.
I think this lineup is below average at best. It's not a good lineup. It's probably the best way to construct it, in my opinion. But when you have 9 names that you're not happy with, you could pick them out of the hat, and it's not going to be a very good lineup. And then you could put them in the best, analytically inclined lineup possible, and it's still not going to be very productive. But that should be the expectation going into next season. And we all know it going in.
Well, before T-Bone gives his lineup, which I'm imagining is going to get 85 to 90 wins, T-Bone,
don't
so
need
I'll
my
let
lineup.
you paint the picture.
I think that Twitter person that BK read that said, oh, wow, 72 wins, long year. That was the right response, no matter how you construct a lineup.
I just, for people that are upset about BK's lineup, in what fantasy world were you living where you didn't understand that this was a rebuild? Where
I don't know.
You saw what was taking place when Wilson Contreras was traded away and Sonny Gray was traded away, and they just basically paid Arizona to take Nolan Arenado and said, we can still be competitive. They made this very clear, taking a step backwards so we could take a step forward.
They have $40 million committed to the 2027 payroll right now. 40.
Isn't that the same amount that they paid elsewhere to go play?
That's a little less than what they are paying this year for Contreras,
Great.
Arenado, and Sonny Gray to play on other teams. In fact, Nolan Arenado this year is the Cardinals' highest paid player.
Boy, now I really feel like
I think I saw the longest tenured player is Lars Nootbaar on
That's
this
correct.
team. Like, This is the rebuild. So
Every player that I read in that list of Cardinals players, they're all homegrown. Every single one of them came from their
hell
system.
yeah.
I wouldn't high five that. We've seen how they're homegrown talent.
No,
Do you know
but
how many
Heinz here,
players
Heinz here.
on the Cardinals this year are expected to make more than $6 million?
Oh, that's a fun game.
Dustin May.
Are we just doing position
Just in
players?
general.
Okay, Dustin May. Is JoJo over 6?
Nope.
Okay, I didn't think so.
I'm going to say 1.
That might be Burley. Burley getting more?
don't think
I don't
so.
think so. Yeah, I'll go 1 as well.
1.
Dustin May. Look at
Dustin
us,
May is
T-Bone.
the only Cardinals
yeah.
player on the roster
You can't trick us
that
anymore.
will get more than $6 million this year.
This
The
is-
other, of course, is Nolan Arenado, who's making like 15.
This
from
is
the
just a
Cardinals.
PSA for all Cardinals fans for the next, what do we got, 9 months? Really 8 months. They're not going past September. Everything we discuss with this Cardinals team, it's a rebuild.
Yeah,
It's a rebuild.
and I think it's if it hasn't hit Cardinals fans like the people that are angry at BK on Twitter now. Wait till we get into games, and I think that's when it really starts to hit. Because you know what's the best part about watching Cardinals baseball over the last
Wins,
2
baby.
years? Not just the wins, but then like debating like, okay, what did Ollie do in the game? Like, okay, what should he have pinch hit here? Should he not have? Why did he go to this guy in the bullpen? Oh, did he pull the starter too soon? Yeah, you know how many conversations those you're going to have by like the 30th game of the year? None. Because it's just they're going to run out this lineup. They did this a little bit at times last year. Probably not pinch hitting for most of these guys. We're probably not going to have a bunch of conversations about, well, should Burley be 3 or should you bump him down to 5? Where do you hit Weatherholt? Not a lot of those conversations are happening this year. And where it becomes frustrating for fans is like, I don't think you can judge Ollie off of anything that he does managerial wise this year because he's just got to kind of follow along by what they've got to do from the front office.
But
What it is
not by
effort.
wins and losses.
Yeah, I think it's do the guys
Development.
look engaged?
Development,
development, and engagement. And those aren't things like that are fun to watch and judge your manager on.
If you don't believe us, look at what the Blues are doing.
It's just a different way to do it. It's completely different than the way that we have seen from the Cardinals for 2 decades.
Yeah.
Like there is a way to make this fun, but it requires you to be interested, and you don't have to be. I'm not telling you should be, but if you are interested in the development of young players, this will be a fun team to follow. If you're not interested in that and you just follow the baseball team, and again, this is not a bad thing, but you just follow them for the wins and the losses, and the wins make you happy and the losses make you mad, this is not going to be a fun team this year to follow. In fact, it probably won't be worth your time because that's not what 2026 is all about. 2026 is about the development of your young players and hopefully improvement of guys that can then be traded at the deadline for other young players that then will develop to help you in the future. That's what this season is all about, and the Cardinals have not tried to sell you on anything different. They are making it very clear, and they are answering questions after every move saying that same thing. The messaging has been crystal clear from Chaim Bloom and everybody else inside of the organization. We are going in a new direction. We are not telling you that you have to love it, but we think this is the best thing for us long term. And the number of texts that have said for, I don't know, a decade since I've been on the radio here in St. Louis saying they need to do this, the Cardinals are finally listening to you, and they agree with your assessment of the overall roster and the sustainability of what they were doing previously. So they're trying something new. We'll see if it works.
Why didn't you say all of that before you tweeted out the lineup?
He's Alex, that's T-Bone, I'm BK. Coming up in 15 minutes, we'll get into questions and answers. NFL Quick Hitters next here on 101 ESPN.
Alex Ferrario back with you to talk about my friends over at Dobbs Tire and Auto Dealers, the real deal for real deals since 1976. You can let Dobbs' team of 600-plus tire technicians and auto service associates care for your family vehicles. Whatever you drive, gas, hybrid, with locations all over town, they'll help you choose the tires that you need, already sold at the lowest prices in town, guaranteed. Quality name brand tires that will suit your vehicle and your family's budget. So check out Dobbs' Money Saver deals on new tires at gotodobbs.com. The most locations around, including their newest stores in Oakville and Overland, Missouri, also open in Waterloo, Illinois. Full service tire and auto service has never been more convenient. So let the tire and service pros at Dobbs take care of your family vehicles, and be sure to check out Dobbs' Money Saver deals over at gotodobbs.com. Dobbs, the real deal for real deals since 1976.
Tanner Hendrickson here with the Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. Blues last night took down the Carolina Hurricanes 3-0. They will be back in action on Friday when they host the Tampa Bay Lightning. We'll have pregame coverage Friday starting at 6 o'clock with Alex Ferrario. Puck drop at 7 o'clock with Chris Garber and Joey Vitale. This Sports Center update was brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin Heating and Air Conditioning dealer.
Our guy Ricky Scoops is back, Alex.
Oh, pretty Ricky. It's a good day.
For those unfamiliar, Ricky Scoops on Twitter was the guy that broke a bunch of news in the offseason. He was the one that first had the Micah Parsons trade, which seemed crazy at the time, and then it came true. And then he had a bunch of stuff at the trade deadline, and now he's back. And he's breaking news about what's going to take place in the NFL's coaching search. And the news that he broke this morning, John Harbaugh is the favorite to land the job with the New York Giants. According to Ricky Scoops, they're having conversations today. The expectation is the Giants will make him an offer that he cannot refuse. It sounds as though he is most interested in the Giants' job. The conversation was over the weekend. He was taking some time to watch the quarterbacks for the teams that he was interested in. It sounds like he liked what he saw from Jackson Dart. Alex, what do you think about that possible answer for the Giants with John Harbaugh potentially as their next head coach?
Well, first thing, I think I've uncovered who Pretty Ricky is. It's Roger Goodell. It's got to be. The only guy that's got that type of scoops, Roger Goodell. I think it makes the most sense because of the teams, with the exception of Cam Ward and the Titans, but I think the crop around Cam Ward and the Titans isn't very pretty. I think the Giants got the best possible quarterback you could go with Jackson Dart. I mean, at least he showed the ability to win football games. Now, he did it at an insane level to where that guy might not be healthy 3 years from now. But I also think the Giants would make the most sense because they're a team that has just been god-awful for a lot of years, and they're probably thinking, we need somebody to come in and just take over. And John Harbaugh seems like he's going to be given the keys to the kingdom of like, hey, man, you come in, fix all of this, fire who you want, you're in charge.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about this one, to be honest. Like, is it a great fit? I don't know. Is it like the worst fit in the world? No, it's not. It's fine, I think. Because now he's going in. I feel bad for Joe Sheehan because he's either fired or he's like a lame duck GM that does nothing. But how often do we see a coach that comes in and says, I want roster control, and it goes well? Never. It never happens. Belichick started taking over roster positions, failed miserably. We saw this with O'Brien when he was with the Texans, failed miserably. I don't know that this is going to work out, but I can get how Harbaugh convinces himself of this, right? Ownership probably gives him the green light of, hey, yeah, we're going to give you about 5 years to figure this out. Okay, well, that sounds nice. I've got at least a quarterback that I seem to like in Jackson Dart. I like their defensive line. They've got some studs there. So I can see why you piece this together. I just don't like the fact that he's having control of this roster. I don't see this going over well.
Well, there's no guarantee of that yet.
I think he's probably getting that, would be my guess.
The Ricky Scoops thing suggests, hey, he might be fine with Joe Schoen overseeing the roster. Now, that may mean Harbaugh has final say. Andy Reid has final say in Kansas City.
Yeah, overseeing the roster in the sense of, hey, you can act like you're in charge. I'm really making these moves.
And he might make like waiver claims, and like after the third round, maybe Harbaugh's like, hey, Joe, buddy, you go ahead and take over. I'm going to go hang out with the kiddos.
I'll have the first night of the draft. You get the rest.
Yeah. I could see something like that where, hey, I make the big moves. Anything less than $10 million in free agency, that's you.
So what you're saying
anything beyond the top 100 picks in the draft, that's you.
So Joe Schoen is Bill Belichick's dog.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can stand here and make it look like you're doing something in the war room.
I like the move. I don't know who else you were going to get if you're the Giants that you'd feel great about. That's my personal opinion on the matter. I just don't know who the other candidate was that you were so infatuated by that they would be more compelling to you than Harbaugh. Now, from Harbaugh's perspective, I guess this is the best job on the market. They've got ownership that people in NFL circles really trusts and likes. Now, I don't know what the Giants have done in the last decade to suggest that they should be trusted or well-liked, but, you know, it is what it is. The Mara family comes with a lot of prestige with it. I still think that Steelers job is a really good one. I think the Ravens job is the best one on the market because they have the security, the stability that the Steelers have, not to the same degree, but pretty high. And they've got a quarterback. Now, Lamar might be a bit difficult to handle, but it's still Lamar Jackson. I mean, come on. What, you're not going to take that? Let's be real. So that's the job that I would be most intrigued by. But if you want the closest middle ground to those two, and obviously Harbaugh wasn't a candidate for the Ravens job, this is probably the one that you have to take. I still would have taken this year off and then recharged my batteries, come back next year, see what's out there. it's a good hire nonetheless if this is the direction that it goes.
That's what I would have done. I wouldn't have jumped right back into it if I'm Harbaugh. But if you think about it, Harbaugh is not getting any younger, and you probably have the prime years still right now. So go out there and try and fix it quickly. I think I would have taken a year off because all of these teams' options are just bad. And if I'm Harbaugh, I want to win right away, I might wait.
The other coaching news comes from a more reputable, I suppose, reporter.
Shut up. Pretty Ricky is about as reputable as you get.
More household name reporter.
Thank you.
And Adam Schefter.
Well, I don't know about that.
Marcus Freeman is expected to remain the head coach at Notre Dame in 2026, despite interest from several NFL teams. We mentioned yesterday, we assumed, hey, this might be a guy that the Steelers would be interested in if they decide to go that path. It sounds as though he's going to be sticking at the collegiate ranks. That makes sense. If you weren't interested in the Steelers job, I don't think you were interested in any of the jobs that are out there right now. So I guess Marcus Freeman's just going to be a college coach, which is fine, but I thought maybe this would be a job that would intrigue him.
I thought so too, but it goes to our conversation yesterday. Like in terms of the highest echelon in the college football coaches, like Kurt Cignetti, man, it's just too comfy to walk away from. You're in a good spot. And if you're Marcus Freeman, I don't think, depending on what the next few years look like, I don't know if you're on a chopping block. They're comfortable with you. They like you, and you're not going to get fired.
Yeah, I think if you're Marcus Freeman, I wonder if he's still waiting for the perfect job in the NFL. Like, I wonder if he looked at Pittsburgh and still said, yeah, okay, I like ownership. I don't know if I'm winning right away, so I think I'll wait right now, and I'll stick with Notre Dame where I'm winning football games. Because you're right, he's probably not going to get on the hot seat unless they have like one or two really bad years. But even him, like, if Cliff Kingsbury could go from being a guy that like coached at Texas Tech where he wasn't that great and then ended up getting a head coaching job in the NFL after being let go by Texas Tech, I could see where Freeman's like, you know what, worst case scenario, I get fired from Notre Dame. I think he still would be a hot commodity because he's viewed as a culture guy. So I think either way, if you're him, there really is no downside to staying at Notre Dame. And I think there's always going to be NFL opportunities for him.
Yeah, I don't think he's getting fired at Notre Dame. He's a guy that is beloved by them right now. And if we're being honest, I don't know that Notre Dame can do a whole lot better than him. I think he's as good as you're going to get. So it makes sense. If you wanted to be at the collegiate level, this is a guy that I would definitely stick with. The other news in the NFL, I did want to ask you guys this, and we'll get to questions and answers on the other side. As I've been doing a little soul searching over the last 24 hours, I've thought a lot about this Patriots versus the Texans matchup. I said yesterday if I had to predict, I would go with the Bills and the Texans as my AFC Championship game. How much does the Nico Collins injury play into your projection for that game? Because he does have a concussion. I think it's his second one this year. So the odds of him being able to get back on what is a short week coming off of a Monday night game and playing at 2 o'clock on Sunday, it seems pretty low that he would be able to return for this game. If he doesn't, Alex, and he's held out, does that change how you view this game at all?
No, not really. Because even with Nico Collins, I don't think the Texans' offense is very good. I think the Texans' offense is going to make one play for you, with or without Nico Collins. I think that game is going to be decided on how great the Houston Texans' defense is, which is why I'll give them a chance to win against the Patriots. I mean, Patriots couldn't put up a lot of points against the Chargers defense, and I think the Texans defense is significantly better. So much like we saw the Texans win that game against the Steelers, I think this is going to come down to, can Drake May outperform this defense, and will this defense be able to put up points? Because I think that's how this one's going to get decided.
Yeah, I think it makes me lean a little bit more towards the Patriots just because, like, I look at the Texans, and at least I could always say, hey, Nico Collins, a playmaker, right? C.J. Stroud finds him, elite weapon, over 1,100 receiving yards this year. Without him, who's their next best weapon?
Christian Kirk?
Probably. Or Schultz, their tight end. Like, that's kind of what New England has. Yeah, and it's kind of what New England has in terms of their weapons. So it kind of evens things out from an offensive perspective.
Defense versus Drake May.
Yeah, and Drake May wasn't great in that Chargers game, but it's not like Stroud was good either. Like Stroud was awful.
Terrible.
He's been bad, by the way, in 2 of the 3 playoff games he's been in his early career. So am I going to trust Stroud to be better? I would trust the guy that's in the MVP conversation over him, actually. So I kind of am starting to lean more towards the New England side of Collins is out.
That's where I'm at as well. I just don't know that the Texans are going to be able to score enough to get over the hump against the Patriots. The over-under in this game is only 40.5. So
I think I'd take the under.
I probably would as
What's
well,
the spread?
especially if Nico is in, or excuse me, if he's out. Spread is New England -3,
Yeah,
3-point home favorite.
I would take the Texans +3. I don't know if they're going to win, but I would take the Texans +3.
I would take the Texans +3.5. At 3, I probably wouldn't touch it.
Yeah, I'd probably avoid it at +3. 3.5, I think I'm kind of with you.
I think it's going to be a 1-point game.
That Denver game, by the way, line is flipped.
That's
Broncos
sad.
now a 1.5-point favorite.
I'd take the
Broncos
Bills.
over the Bills. I would take the Bills money line. I think probably 49ers plus the 7 against Seattle. Which feels like a lot of points.
I actually think I'd go Seattle.
know.
I'd go Seattle.
Not because I trust Seattle, but
Yeah.
even like last game when they played, when the 49ers had Kittle, they won by 10.
Yeah, and I don't think that defense can do that against Seattle.
Give me the under 40.5 in the Patriots-Texans game. And then the Rams right now are a 3.5-point home favorite. Or excuse me, road favorite against the Bears.
I would probably take Bears on the points there.
Plus
I'd
3.5
even consider
feels-
them on money line.
I would take the over in that game.
The Rams, for
48.5.
I'd take the over.
how cold that game's going to be, I'm not expecting that Rams offense to look as good as it has in the past.
Coming up next, 314-399-9646. That's the Your Comfort Service text line for questions and answers here on BK and Ferrario. Earlier this week, I went out to Victory Men's Health. It was an incredibly easy process. Hit them up, said, hey, I want to come back. I want to find out where my micronutrient levels are today. The reason why I was on a vegetarian diet last time around, whenever I went in there, found out where all my levels were, where I was deficient, and they put together a plan that would unlock my inner champion. Now, I did it again now that I'm no longer doing the vegetarian diet, and they're going to be able to find out exactly where all my levels are. They're putting together a personalized plan for me. They can do the same for you. Check them out today. Victory Men's Health is where you go to find them. They have 4 great locations across the St. Louis area. You can also find them online at victorymenshealth.com. That's where you book that first appointment to find out where you're at with your testosterone levels. You can get some help with your erectile dysfunction, weight loss goals that you're trying to meet, and so much more that they have to offer. Read all about it at victorymenshealth.com. It's all available for you at Victory Men's Health, and find out how they can unlock your inner champion at victorymenshealth.com. Alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK, 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for questions and answers. From Continental Courtney. Guys, now that our last star player is gone, maybe you can help me out and help me understand. Why in the hell should I be excited about seeing this year's Cardinals team? Please don't gaslight me saying that I should be excited to see the young players because I've seen the young players already. That doesn't get me excited. Well, then I got nothing for you.
I was gonna say.
Truly, I wish that I could make a better case, but that's the only thing that I could sell you on.
I mean, Weatherholt, Herrera, but that's it. I mean, like young players, if that gets you excited, I don't think that's going to get people excited that want to see wins in St. Louis.
And he said that, or she, that does not get him excited. If you're not interested in watching young players, I don't think that you should watch this year. Truly.
I would say the only appeal.
I mean,
this is gonna be the truth for me as well because like I'm not excited to watch what the product from the Cardinals is going to be. What's going to draw you to the ballpark is who's coming to town. Right? When the Dodgers come to town, okay, go watch Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts. If Paul Skeens is on the mound, I know it's the Pirates, but dude, watching Paul Skeens in person, whew, that guy's electric.
Buddy, this was my entire childhood. Yeah. I would go to Royals games to see the other team. Like
if not for Mark McGwire, the 90s were kind of like this too in St. Louis.
I remember going to Royals games in the early 2000s because Barry Bonds was in town. Like, I had a Barry Bonds jersey on, and I was holding a sign for Barry Bonds.
God, you're a fraud. What a fan you are. You should be
bandwagon.
I would go in the early 2000s to see the Yankees or to see Albert Pujols. Like, that was the draw. It wasn't to go watch the Royals. It was to see who they were playing. And this year, like, I think there will be a decent number of fans that do buy in to what the Cardinals are selling with the young players. I think there's a certain portion of the fan base. Now, I don't know what that means for attendance, but I think there's a decent segment of the fan base that at least is like, I understand the plan, and I buy into the plan. That doesn't always lead to tickets sold because buying into the plan is different than engaging with the team on a day-to-day basis. So,
yeah. I mean, it's not. I mean, to me, it's not about winning. It's about seeing the development of the younger players. And again, sometimes you're weirdos. I was this way when the Blues went post-lockout and Pronger was traded away. I liked getting to watch Eric Johnson play and some of these younger players. But, like, that's not fun for people that expect winning.
I don't know if I'd say I hate it, but I don't look forward to it.
No,
and the
it's
reason
not
I say
fun.
that, because you know what happens? Most of the time they break your heart. Like Jordan Walker, I was so excited when that guy was going to get up here. I mean, that was look at him. He's a freak. He's like 6'6". He's built like he's been in the league for like 10 years.
I bought a
and he can't hit a baseball.
I bought a damn Eric Johnson jersey, and he broke his ankle at a golf course the next day. Yeah. Like, I mean, it happens.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line from the 636. Right now, it's for fans of baseball. Cheap tickets, developing players.
Yeah. Are they cheap?
The cheap tickets will be nice.
Yeah, those will be there. And cheap hot dogs.
Yeah.
Oh,
the Cardinals will probably run a lot of promotions this year.
It's going to be like the Blues did, where it's like you get a free hot dog for every goal scored or something like that. Man, I devoured some of those as a high school
we're not going
kid.
to score a lot of runs. That's not
I think
fair.
that'll be great.
You'll score a ton of runs, man. Win, Scott.
If, in all seriousness, like Alex, you can certainly appreciate this. I would assume they'll probably do a decent amount for young kids this year.
Oh, I've already told Katie I want to try and get the girls to a lot of games because one, the tickets will be cheap, and two, it's not going to be packed. So, like, my girls, because they're a little distracting at times, they can enjoy the game.
Have a whole row to let
That's
them run
what I'm
around.
saying.
The other thing that's great about going to Cardinals games is you can bring in your own food.
Yeah.
So if you do go with kids, I mean, some people just want to experience the ballpark food, and maybe they'll be doing stuff this year for that as well.
That couple does not have any kids.
What?
When they want to experience the ballpark
sure.
food, you don't want to drop $75
I think it's
for your
great
kid not
that
to
you
eat
can
it.
bring in your own food to these games.
Yeah.
It makes it a lot more affordable if you're going with a family. From the 314, do you expect more or less than 1.5 players traded from the Cardinals the rest of the offseason? I'd probably go under. I think that's where the safe bet is. Probably Donnie will be the last one dealt. There was speculation, I think probably would be the best way to frame it, from Jeff Passett earlier today on Newt being an interesting trade candidate for the Mets. JoJo is still somebody that maybe would have some value out there. I wouldn't completely write off the possibility that the Cardinals trade from their current rotation somebody like a Matthew Liberatore or an Andre Palante maybe would hold some level of value across the league if they end up getting a major leaguer in return for Brendan Donovan. But yeah, I'd probably take the under.
Yeah, I think it's one. I think it's Donovan. I think this market just continues to go so slow that at some point you just say, all right, we're good.
Yeah, that's where I am.
We'll address in season.
I would say under. I don't think they're moving Noonbar just because I don't think they want to sell low on him. I think their hope is he bounces back, he's healthy, then he would carry value. And then with JoJo, like we were talking a little bit about this off air yesterday, BK and I were, and it's not very often you see a rental reliever get traded in the offseason, especially if he's not a closer. Like Devin Williams was a closer when he got dealt last year by Milwaukee. JoJo's a setup / left-handed specialist. Those guys only get moved if they've got control. So I think he's more of a deadline move than anything else.
314-399-9646. That is the Air Comfort Service text line to get involved in the show. Late edition, we will have Derrick Goold joining us coming up in the 1 o'clock hour to talk about the Cardinals and to help preview this year's Baseball Writers Dinner, which will take place on Sunday evening after the Cardinals winter warm-up. Coming up next, Ivan Herrera. Is he the best Cardinals bet to become a star player? Yes, even over J.J. Weatherholt. We'll talk about it next here on 101 ESPN. Alex, the Underdog app is ready to go for this year's NFL playoffs. You know I love the best ball that they do over there. You can draft your team, see how far you can get, maybe win thousands of dollars. If that's not your speed, maybe you just like taking the players, going higher or lower on rushing yards, receiving yards, passing touchdowns, so much more. It's super easy to do for this weekend. Divisional round weekend. I've got Josh Allen going higher on his rushing and receiving touchdowns. I also like him to go higher on his rushing yards. And I've got DeAndre Swift for a pretty decent game, higher on his rushing and receiving yardage total. Those three plays together, 4.5 to 1 odds.
I love it. Make sure you're checking that Underdog app daily to see those profit boosts that they offer up for you. That flex option when you make your picks. Oh boy, I like that at times when I'm making those 12, 13, 14 picks in one play. Everything is available available for you over on the Underdog app. Download it today and use promo code BKO to score $75 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code BKO. Underdog, make plays, win money. Must be 18 plus and present in Missouri. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit www.ncpgambling.org.
With Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. So Ivan Herrera yesterday was named as a part of MLB Network's top 100 players in the league. They do this every offseason. Normally, we're more locked in on it than we will be this offseason.
Well, you don't think there's another one after?
No.
I would bet Mason wins in the top 100.
No.
I mean, they went to 80, and if he wasn't in the top 80, 80 to 100, I doubt he's 80
I
or
don't think
higher.
he's up there.
I bet you he's in the top 80.
You want to make a bet?
Yeah.
I'll bet you too.
Yeah.
Six-pack of beer.
Deal.
Cool.
Yeah. Mine needs to be Mick Ultra Cactus Lime.
Or you can either do that, or you can do two of my drafts for me. You can just go ahead and give me the $10 via Venmo.
Why? So you
on the Underdog app, promo code BKO.
Why? So you cannot give me half the winnings?
Correct, because I want to bet against you.
Oh, well, then I want my money from the last one that you won $5,000 on.
I think Mason Wynn will be in the top 80. I think, like, as I'm looking at this right now, Matt Chapman and Willie Adames were in the 80 to 85
And
range.
you think Mason Wynn's above Willie Adames?
I do, yeah. Zach Neto was number 87 on this list. Kerry Carpenter at 94. Brent Rooker at 91. Yeah, I think Mason Wynn will be in the
significantly better player.
top 80.
I agree with you. Everybody he just said significantly better than
All right.
Mason.
Yeah, no. That's cute, man, but
I mean,
no,
if he's
stop
at
trying to make
60
it work.
to 80, then your shot is really gone.
Agreed. I think he's somewhere in that 50 to 80 range.
Yeah, I doubt it.
Ivan Herrera is at 98.
That one I could convince
That
myself.
one I agree with.
I agree. I actually think it might be a little bit low. Ivan Herrera is a stud, man. His numbers so far in his major league career, when he is on the field, if you're just talking about him as a hitter,
That's probably why he's as low as he is, because of the position he plays.
Absolutely. His wins above replacement are terrible because his defense is so bad.
War's not good for
But
anything.
offensively, year one, 2024, played in 72 games, was 25% above league average offensively. Last year was 36% above league average offensively. That's really freaking good for a guy with as little experience as Ivan Herrera has. In fact, we don't think of him this way, but from a home run perspective, per 162 games over the last two seasons, he's averaging 22. Mm-hmm. And if you just look at it from last year, he hit 19 in 107 games. That's almost a 30 home run pace last year over the course of a full season. I know people are really excited about J.J. Weatherholt, and they have every reason to be. I think the guy's going to be a very good Major League Baseball player. I do think it seems as though, from my interpretation of the scouting reports, it seems like his prospect status, and please don't have whiplash whenever I mention this name, but it reminds me a little bit of Dylan Carlson.
Oh,
and what I mean by that is,
why would you even do that?
Carlson's prospect status was more about his floor than his ceiling. Carlson was always viewed as that guy's going to be a really good major leaguer. I see no way that thing fails. It did because of injuries, I think. But everybody viewed him as a 15 to 20 home run hitter, a plus outfielder, and a guy that could bat probably somewhere 2, 3, or 6 in your lineup for the next decade. Andre Ethier was the name that was brought up to us as a potential comparison for Dylan Carlson. I kind of feel similarly about J.J. Weatherholt, where I don't really see where the significant weakness in his game is. I'm also not sure I see a huge strength where he's going to be elite at this particular skill. that doesn't mean he's a bad player or that he's overhyped. Different prospects have different ways that they can become high-level prospects. Herrera, to me, though, seems to be the one out for the Cardinals to have a superstar-level hitter, Alex. I think the guy could hit 285 to 300 basically every year. I think he could be a 360-plus on-base percentage player every year. And I think he at least has the upside to be a 30-home run hitter. If he puts all of that together and he figures it out behind the plate or simply becomes either a future first baseman or designated hitter, that's an all-star caliber player. The likes of which the Cardinals have not had internally from a homegrown position player since Matt Carpenter. He'd be the closest thing that we've seen to this. I mean, he might be the best hitter that is homegrown in more than a decade for the St. Louis Cardinals. So he's the guy to me that has the highest upside that I'm the most excited to watch this year. And I think he's their best bet as a legitimate star player out of all of the young guys on the roster.
I'm with you. I think his bat is why he's got star level potential. And I don't know if we made this comp on the show or maybe we just discussed it or maybe I'm crazy thinking it. But Yordan Alvarez is somebody that comes to mind who is just elite with the bat. And I mean, again, I know it's kind of insane to say, but he's a DH for the Houston Astros, and his bat is incredible. And again, maybe lofty expectations, but like watching him play, and he's dealt with injuries. He's not been for a full 162. That offense makes me think he's got that type of talent. I think J.J. Weatherholt's just going to be another. He's going to be another replica of Brendan Donovan.
I think like when we think J.J. Weatherholt, like you talked about his floor and his ceiling. I don't know why, but like when everything I read on him and think about what I think his ceiling is, I think it is like Matt Carpenter before he was hitting 30 home runs. Like 20 homers, and he's like a 40-double guy. That's kind of how I picture his ceiling going, and I don't know that that's a star. I think Herrera, to your point, on his bat skills, like I think that's more the guy that I see as the 30-homer, 100 RBI guy. Like it's simple. It's an easy stat. But all the great teams have one of those guys, right? And Herrera's the guy for me. It's just, does he play defense, right? Like I
don't care.
Yeah, right now
if he's
I don't
throwing up
care.
those numbers, I do not care.
My question is not so much the defense; it is more of can he stay healthy behind the plate. Is what I should have said, because that's the one concern I have. I mean, it's the reason they moved Contreras from behind the plate.
But if that bat shows you the ability to be that star, when they're trying to win, he's not going to be my catcher. He's going to be at first base. He's going to be a DH, and
I'm
the
not
bat
sure.
has been a
He
superstar.
could be Will Smith for you. If he figures it out behind the plate, he can be Will Smith.
I think they have so many catchers in their system that at some point they'll move him away from that position.
Think about how many catchers they've had in their system, though, for the last decade. But think about all of the guys that they have had that came and went, and that's not just because of Yachty. Yachty was part of this, sure. But think about how many of them were traded elsewhere and then didn't become the player that they were projected to be. It's so hard to translate at the major league level as a catcher. And there's so much that is required from you, both defensively, game calling wise, game planning wise, all of these different things. It's hard, man. Kisner was supposed to be the guy. Carson Kelly was supposed to be that guy. We've seen this with half a dozen different players over the last decade. And they just don't end up working out for the most part. And it's not just the Cardinals. Joey Bart was this player for the Giants. He was the heir apparent, and it didn't work there. So it's entirely possible Leo Bernal is not the player that he's projected to be. Maybe Jimmy Crooks is just a really solid backup major league catcher. That would be a pretty good outcome for a guy like Jimmy Crooks. It's maybe not what people are hoping for, but it's a good outcome nonetheless. And if you have somebody that is your equivalent to Will Smith or better offensively, dude, I don't care what the other guys do. Trade all of them. This is the guy that I want to build around.
I just think his value is going to be as bad. And to T-Bone's point, it's a concern that I have. Not now, I don't care. But when they're trying to be competitive again, because we've talked about how they don't want this to last very long, 3-year turnaround, you hope. His value is his bat for 162 games, which is why I think he's going to be your DH with the occasional catcher or first base, whatever they decide, and they'll transition into a catcher who can just be that defensive upgrade.
Yeah, I'll figure out where he plays defensively / non-defensively if that means he's a DH. But as long as he continues to hit, like that is going to be the most valuable thing for him. And I just have the concern about, him getting beat up behind the plate. Like he couldn't stay healthy this year, and he wasn't catching for the decent chunk of the season, except for like the first 2 weeks. I don't care where he is defensively. If he ends up being an average catcher and he can become Will Smith, that's fine. I'm totally cool with that. He is their best bet for a star. My expectation is he's not a catcher long term, because if he's been this bad by the time he's 25, I don't think it's suddenly going to flip a switch. He's going to go from bad to average.
All right, so I just looked this up because I was curious. Cardinals players prior to turning 26 years old, best OPS plus. In the last 20 years, where do you think Ivan Herrera ranks on that list? Cardinals players, last 20 years, best OPS plus under the age of 26.
127, so...
He's at 129 WRC plus is what I'm using.
Top 5. Say 4.
I'm trying to think who, like, Carp might be better, but I don't know if he was that much above league average. And he wasn't that young when he came up. I'll say it's a BK game. He's like first or second.
Well, first is a guy.
I was going to say, first is Pujols.
Yeah.
20 years ago? What was 20 years ago? What year was that?
2005? 2006?
Okay, yeah. I did some bad math, so I know Albert's one.
Albert's
I'll say
one.
2. I'll say 2.
Ivan Herrera is 2.
Yeah.
He's at 129. Albert was ridiculous. Dunk is 3 at 128. Donnie is 4 at 123. And then Tyler O'Neill, Lars Nootbaar. Now, it speaks to the fact that the Cardinals have not had very many superstar level talents.
But yet they'll tell us that they have always been a team that drafts and develops.
So, yeah, that's...
Did you not hear Albert on there?
That was a draft, and oh my God.
Colby Rasmus up there as well. It speaks to what Herrera has been. I think it gets a little undersold because the Cardinals haven't been very good. If this same guy and this same talent came up in 2012 instead of in 2024, we'd be talking about him as a really high-level talent, the likes of which could become your J.D. Martinez or could become your Will Smith, depending on the trajectory of his career and which path he goes down defensively. And it's why I like that they're going with him as a catcher this year. There's real value in that if it ends up working out. And if not, whatever. You weren't going to win this way this year anyway, so it's no harm, no foul. Coming up in about 15 minutes, we got a text earlier today, Alex, saying something to the effect of, are you guys seeing this Miami buzz? Are they really going to be able to take down Indiana in the national championship game? We'll get into that, give you our thoughts coming up in about 15 minutes. But next, who are the top-ranked young Blues players that they can build around right now? There was a list earlier today that came out. I found the way that they described some of the young Blues to be pretty interesting. We'll talk about that next year on 101 ESPN. Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. So, Alex, earlier today, I had an inkling that this list really ticked you off.
Nothing ticks me off, man.
Well, generally speaking, when you get lists that, in your mind at least...
Oh, hold on, follow up. Did Dom write it?
No.
Okay.
Pronman.
It's close to second on Dom.
When you see a ranking of the best players in the NHL under the age of 23, it sometimes, I would say, in your estimation, understates how good the Blues are. And I think that's probably the case here.
Part of the way you framed that sounded like it was an insult, but we'll move forward.
No, I don't know if it actually does that, but in your personal belief, it does. I think that MLB Network's ranking of Ivan Herrera was a little light. That's my view of it. That doesn't mean that needs to be the consensus view of it, but I can only speak for myself. Tier 1, where you probably think Jimmy Snuggerud belongs, elite NHL category.
No, I don't believe that.
Under 23 years old, there are 3 players, and I think this is pretty definitive. Number 1, Macklin Celebrini. Number 2, Connor Bedard. Number 3, Leo Carlson.
Yeah,
Any arguments there?
There's no way Jimmy Snuggerud could even sniff.
What about Dvorsky?
No.
No.
Absolutely not.
Tier 2 on The Athletic, best NHL players under the age of 23. Bubble, elite NHL player, NHL all-star caliber players.
Okay.
Matthew Schaefer, Logan Cooley, Wyatt Johnston. Any arguments there?
No arguments.
Tier 3. I'm going to need you to pronounce this name for me, but these are NHL all-star caliber players. Yura?
Okay.
Slavkowski?
Uri Slavkovsky.
I was really close there, I would say.
Not Uri, but you're close.
Uri.
Uri.
J-U-R-A-J.
Yeah. The Blues have a guy named Uri Pekarchik in their system.
I know his last name.
Yes, you do.
Dimidov, that guy's awesome.
Yeah, that guy is awesome.
And Will Smith. By the way, I saw a stat yesterday on Dimidov. Apparently, his line mates have the highest shooting percentage of any line mates with any individual player from a single season in the last 20 years.
So sell stock now?
Well, no, it could speak to how great of a distributor he is.
He's a elite
Robert
playmaker.
Thomas a few years ago was on this list as well because of how great he is as a passer.
I saw somebody,
sets his guys up really well.
I saw somebody, and I mean, anytime you put these comps out there, this was not me, by the way. Somebody put this out there. They said Demidov's got a lot of Fedorov in him. And I'm like, okay.
Sorry, I can't get by the Gretzky
Yeah, no,
part.
it wasn't Gretzky. It was, and I think it was just because of a young Russian forward, but let's pump the brakes on calling him Sergei Fedorov. But, I mean, he's got 29 assists.
I thought you were talking about Roger Federer at first, and I was like, what? No. I'm trying to understand this cross-sport comparison.
Believe it or not,
it's not computing for
Believe
me.
it or not, I don't have a whole lot of tennis knowledge up in the brain up here.
For anybody watching on YouTube, you probably saw my face go, what?
Yeah.
I was very confused.
They said he's got Fedorov in him, and I'm like, okay, let's pump the brakes on that, but sure.
So you get the idea. Those are the top 10.
You're not in that one either with Snuggerud.
Yeah, well, you're not in really any of these with any of the Blues players.
You keep going down this list. At some point, they'll be there.
I'm just going to skip the next couple. Tier 6.
That's a joke.
Bubble. I'm struggling the last few days, boys. Bubble, top and middle of the lineup players. That is where the first Blues player under the age of 23 shows up at number 55 overall. And it's not a player currently on the roster. It's Adam Jiricek.
Jeez. I'd have Jiricek higher than that. I'd at least put him in tier 4.
And there's one other player, also not currently on the roster in this tier. Justin Carbonneau comes in at number 61 overall on this list. So some may be wondering, all right, BK, when are we going to get to the guys that we've actually seen play in a Blues uniform? Well, that is at tier 7, middle of the lineup players. Number 64 overall among players under the age of 23, Dalibor Dvorsky.
They had Dvorsky over Snuggerud?
Yes, sir. Number 68 on this list, same tier, Jimmy Snuggerud. Number 110 on the list, Logan Mailloux. And finally, at number 132 on the list, Adam, is it Jekko or Yeko?
Yeko.
Yeah. And that's
They
it.
didn't even have Stenberg on this list?
Nope.
Yeah, Look, I'm not going to lose my mind over it because you're ranking under 23-year-olds, and unless you've got Celebrini or Leo Carlson, good luck trying to rank these guys because typically you don't see them start to perform unless you've got special ones at 24, 25 years old. I do think that putting Carbonneau ahead of a Jimmy Snuggerud is, I don't know. I think it's a little crazy. Like we're ranking a guy who's playing in the QMJHL versus a guy who has shown the ability to play at the NHL level. But I think all of those guys are probably right in line with where they ranked them. Bubble top-line players. I don't think any of these guys right now have shown all-star capability. But I do think if I were to rank these myself, I would have Snuggerud above all of these players. Because Snuggerud, to me, looks like a guy that has top-line ability to be up there and sustain that level. And then I would have Adam Jiricek because I think he has top pair abilities from what we've seen in juniors level. And I mean, I've told you before, scouts that I've talked to say he's got a lot of Pietrangelo in him. And then from there, I mean, a pick of the litter. I can see Carbonneau being there. I can see Stenberg not being on that list is kind of a joke. But I understand it. He's a late first-round pick. Probably don't see a whole lot of upside. But Stenberg, Dvorsky, Logan Mailloux, all of these guys, to me, are bubble top-line players. But they haven't shown it yet. And I also think it's because of a lack of the guy that brings the best out of all of them. But when they find them, if they find them, I do think Snuggerud has top-line capabilities. I do think Stenberg has top-line capabilities. And the same can be said for Adam Jiricek. But I'm not going to put them in the top 20 in the National Hockey League because they don't have that elite status.
This fits what I've seen. Mm-hmm. If I'm being honest, I think on a true contender, and that's kind of how I do this. Can Dvorsky play second-line center? Absolutely. He's doing that right now for the Blues. And I think this is what you get. If Dvorsky's your second-line center, I think you look like this. Jimmy Snuggerud, can he play top-line minutes? Yeah, absolutely. Can he be the top sniper for an NHL team? Yeah, sure. What do you get out of that? This is what you get. And I think Jimmy Snuggerud can be a good player in this league. Can he be the number one goal scorer for a legitimate Stanley Cup contender? I haven't seen anything so far to suggest the answer to that question is yes. So far in his NHL career, and he's extremely young, there's still more upside there. I agree with you, Alex. This is not me putting him down and saying that he's a bad player. But Jimmy Snuggerud in his NHL career, he's played 50 games. He has 10 goals and 23 points. That's what he's been so far. He's young. He's inexperienced. He still has a lot of room for growth, and I think that shot is real. And I think he is going to be and is already a power play weapon. So, there is something there as a middle six winger. I just don't view him as the guy that I'm building around as a top line winger. And the reason why I view that as being really important and why I think having an honest view of your players is important is because when you don't, you end up where the Cardinals are, where you keep overestimating your young talent and you keep believing the next guy is going to be the guy. And when you're wrong, seemingly every single time, you keep masking over your deficiencies by having to go to free agency to find the guy that can fill that hole, at least for the time being. And it puts you into this perpetual, we're fine to make it to the playoffs, but we're never going to do anything more. How are we getting over the top? And the nice thing for the Blues this year, as I look at this list, man, those guys at the top were supposed to be at the top. Mm-hmm. Macklin Celebrini was expected to be this. Connor Bedard was projected to be this. Leo Carlson was this. Logan Cooley, this is what they were expecting him to be. Dimidov, big-time prospects coming in. Will Smith, he's at 9 on this list. That guy was drafted to be exactly what he's been. Adam Fantilli, number 13 on this list. Yeah, that sounds right. Luke Hughes, same thing. Ryan Leonard. The guys that are in the top 20 on this list of the best players under the age of 23, they came in with those kinds of expectations. And the Blues this season, because it's a year from hell for them, they're going to potentially have the opportunity to go out there and get the player that can be what we all wanted Jimmy Snuggerud to be, or that we projected for him what he was likely to be. The dudes that go in the top 3, they're actually that. There's no squinting. There's no tilting your head. There's no praying and hoping and maybes. There is just, yeah, that's what he's going to be. 20 to 30 goals, point per game player, write it in pen. That's the guy that changes the outlook for your franchise. That's what picking in the top 3 does for you. The Blues have not been there yet. This might be the offseason where it's possible.
So you would say Ryan Leonard's one of these guys?
I think he's a really good player.
He's got the same amount of goals that Jimmy Snuggerud does in the same amount of games.
Sure.
And I think Snuggerud's got a better shot. It's why I said...
I don't think he's the guy that changes the outlook of your team. No, I got a little out over my skis.
No, but
I just saw his name. I was like, yeah, I
I like
remember
what you're
him.
saying, though, about the top 3 guys and some of them.
But
I was cooking a little bit.
I'm not using your words. I'm going off of what the national experts say. They see that and they say, well, that's a top-line player, right? That's a guy that can make a difference. He's done the same thing that Jimmy Snuggerud has done in 59
doing it in a
games.
very different way, though. I mean, you've always told me about the value of a guy like Braden Shin or like a Jake Neighbors. They bring more to the table.
But I think Snuggerud plays and is more noticeable on the defensive side of the game right now.
He has very little, though, in terms of like the physicality of the game.
I think he's got some, but it's not to the level of Leonard. But he plays with more tenacity than what just a pure goal scorer would do. I said this in the open. I think Jimmy Snuggerud could be what a Cole Caulfield is. And Cole Caulfield is viewed as a star of a player on a top line with Montreal. Cole Caulfield is a guy that just puts the puck in the net. And I think Snuggerud's got that ability. I'm not saying any of these guys are difference makers, because they're not, and they haven't been. Can they get there? Maybe. Haven't seen it yet. I think you are still lacking the difference maker on this team. But with a difference maker, with a Nick Suzuki on your roster, with one of those guys, a Leo Carlson, a Macklin Celebrini, a Leo Carlson, I think a lot of these guys look better than where they are. I think this speaks to a lot of that the Blues guys that were supposed to be those pieces have not lived up to it.
What does Jimmy Snuggerud need to be in order to live up to those expectations?
Time?
No, like if we're looking at it, because I'm not talking in theoreticals, like 30-goal scorer, 40-goal scorer, 80 points. What are we talking about with this?
I mean, I think he's a 30-goal, 75 to 80-point producer.
Okay.
And what does he need? He needs his Nick Suzuki. That's what he needs. I mean, time is also the answer.
I just meant in terms of the goal production.
Yeah.
Like, what is the production that we're looking for? Because when you talk about the Cardinals, they're lacking the 30-homer, 100 RBI guy.
Yeah.
That's what they're missing. And when we look at top-line players in the league, or teams that are considered to be legitimate contenders, they all have, you just look at the traditional numbers, 35-plus goal scores, every single one of them. They've got a guy that you can count upon every single season, write it in pen. This is what you're getting out of them.
I mean, he's missing his Nick Suzuki. Like, I brought this up to T-Bone, I think, last week. Like, Cole Caulfield, would it surprise you that next season Jimmy Snuggerud had 23 goals in 75 games?
23?
Yeah.
No.
That's what Caulfield did in his second full season as an NHL player. And then 26, then 28, then 37. Now he's got 21 through 47 games. I don't think they have their Nick Suzuki. And
how long are we expecting this rebuild to take? Because you just said, like, basically 5 years in, he became the player that we're talking about.
Yeah.
We're in year basically 1.
I mean, it takes 3 years of NHL full-time status to figure it out as those guys.
Agreed. So are we willing to wait 3 to 5 years for Jimmy Snuggerud to be that player, for them to get to that contention level? Is that what we're talking about
I think
here?
that's where they're going.
Yeah, and I think the clock might get pushed back a little bit depending on what they do with this core in the offseason or at the deadline.
It all comes down to, are they trading a Thomas or maybe a Kyrie? Are they going to reset things with Steen taking over? Because if they're not, and they like this year, where they thought they were going to be a playoff team, I don't know that you can wait 3 years for Snuggerud. But if you're going to kind of reset, kind of like the Cardinals are this offseason, you can wait 3 years. You can just kind of see how he develops and then go from there and see what you end up being.
might be pushing this core to a new age group if they decide to do that and accomplish that, because Snuggerud's 21, 22 years old. Dvorsky's 21 years old, 22. Like, Stenberg's young, Carbonneau's young, Neighbors is young, Holloway's young. That might be the new core of 23 to 24-year-olds rather than waiting for the 27-year-old of Kyrou and Thomas to take this team by the reins and move them forward.
My concern with that core that you just mentioned is I think that's what their plan might be to build around if they, again, move on from the current core. My fear is it's going to just be a recycle of what the current core is, of one without a star.
It might be, but
right?
a lost season and you get a top 3 pick. Maybe you finally find that difference
maybe
maker.
that's what happens. And that's where I think BK was spot on. Like, when I saw this list, all I could look at in those top 10 guys is, all right, those guys were selected like 1 through 3, maybe 1 through 5.
But sometimes,
like,
too.
Nothing's not surprising about what the Blues have and what they've drafted. Like Snuggerud, if he became not the guy on the number 1 line, but the second line guy that you brought up, BK, and he scores 25 to 30 goals, which I think is possible, that's a win. That was a middle first-round pick. That's a win for you. You drafted Dvorsky at 10, 9, if I remember correctly?
10.
Yeah, okay, he became a second-line center for you? Yeah, okay, I could see that. If he became a third-line center, I could see that.
I think the draft this year, if you're picking in that area, could do it. But I also think if they decide to go down the path of moving on from Robert Thomas, that could warrant you that player in return. You're setting the clock backwards if this is a lost season and you try and make that move, which we're purely speculating here. But, we brought up the trade of Ryan O'Reilly. Buffalo got their number 1 center in Tage Thompson. I brought up the trade of Mike Richards, that kind of similar to Robert Thomas. Philadelphia got their number 1 guy, at least for then, in Braden Shen and Wayne Simmons. If they go down that path, you reset the clock for a guy that fits into that age of core rather than where you're at now, where you thought the 26, 27, 28-year-olds were there.
Blues off tonight, back in action Friday evening. Is that their next game?
Yep.
Alex will be on pre and post for that game.
No play-by-play
You'll hear
at
it
all,
right
right?
here on 101 ESPN. Coming up in 15 minutes, we'll dive into the junk drawer. Derrick Goold stops by coming up in the 1 o'clock hour. But next, is this Miami buzz legit? You guys buying into it? We'll talk about it next here on 101 ESPN.
Tanner Hendrickson here with the Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. Blues took down the Hurricanes last night 3-0. They'll be back in action on Friday. We'll have pregame coverage when they take on the Tampa Bay Lightning starting at 6 o'clock with Alex Ferrario. Puck drop at 7 o'clock with Chris Carver and Joey Vitale. The Sports Center update is brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, an Icon Heating and Air Conditioning dealer.
I've been surprised by the amount of buzz that I'm seeing, Alex, for the Miami Hurricanes.
Well, you gotta hype you up somehow when you get your butts handed to you in a few days.
Now, some of this is Dan Le Batard and his show are based in Miami. They are Miami homers, and I don't say that in a derogatory way. They love the program, and they've waited for this day for 25 years. And so I'll give them, you get a full pass. If this is your squad, just like if Mizzou was in the national championship game, dude, you could tell me nothing. They are 100% winning that football game. There's no scenario in which I would pick them to lose. So I get it. But it's not just them. Like Josh Pate, I saw the other day. He was on ESPN. He picked Miami. He thinks Miami is going to win this game. I think Josh Pate does a really good job covering college football. And yet I've watched these games and I think to myself, what's the case? But, Alex, I've also said that for Miami a number of other times. I didn't think they were going to beat Texas A&M. I didn't think that they would be able to beat Ohio State. Not only did they beat both of those teams, they were clearly and definitively the better team in both games. Do you think they have it in them to do that again?
No.
Against Indiana?
No, because none of those teams are Indiana. Indiana has been elite from start to finish this season in almost every facet you can ask for. And, yeah, I can see where they would make the reasonings behind, well, this is why Miami's going to win, because they have been elite in the lines on offense and the defensive line, and that's how you can win. You win in the trenches. Good luck doing that against Indiana. Kurt Cignetti's going to be like, yeah, cool, I see your trenches, and I'm going to one-up you with the talent that I have in every position on my roster. So, no, I don't see this. I think it always comes down to quarterback and coach, and I'll give Miami credit. Like, Carson Beck has made plays. I don't think he's a good quarterback, but he's made the plays. But a lot of that has been because the offensive line has been incredible and the defensive line has kept them in football games. Not only does Indiana have the best quarterback in college football and possibly the best coach in college football, but they've also been elite in almost every other area of their team on offensive line, defensive side of things, secondary. So, no, I don't think Miami has a chance in this one. I think they're trying to hype this up because they want to make it a fun get-together for everybody in college football. This will be over at halftime.
Yeah, I think it's still the lack of respect to Indiana because they're not a blue blood. Right? Everybody still thinks of Indiana from 3 years ago where they were like 2-10, and one of those wins was against an FCS school. That's not the case, man. Indiana is a juggernaut. And you mentioned, I have agreed with you. I didn't think Miami could get past Ohio State. I didn't think they could get past Texas A&M. I was kind of skeptical if they'd get past Ole Miss. You know what those teams aren't? They're not Indiana, who is the best team in the country, because those teams had flaws.
I don't know, man. So that is one thing that I am reserving judgment on. I did watch Indiana play Ohio State recently. And it was a very close game. And Ohio State presented some issues against Indiana that very few teams have been able to. And it's because Ohio State has such a complete defense. Their defense gave Indiana's troubles offensively. And it's really the only team that's done that since Iowa. Iowa was the one other team that I was like, okay, they really made them work for it offensively. And I remember going into that game, Kurt Cignetti said, hey, this week at Iowa, going to be a much more difficult test for us than what we had last week at home against Illinois.
Yeah, he wasn't wrong.
And he was right, because Iowa's defense presented some issues. Miami's defensive line has been unbelievable in this playoff. And it's possible that's the thing that wrecks things for Indiana offensively. And it's the one reason why I'm at least open to this idea. That, hey, maybe I am overlooking Miami once again. I've done it the entire playoff, and maybe I'm still doing it against Indiana.
I just think when you go up against Indiana, after we've seen them for the entire year, the only way to beat them is you have to play perfect football. And I don't think Miami's capable of that. Not so much on their defense, because their defense could make it a bit of a dogfight. am I really going to trust Carson Beck to beat that Indiana defense?
That's my holdup.
Because I watched that Ole Miss game, and that Ole Miss defense is nowhere close to the defense that we're going to see from Indiana on Monday. And he didn't look good in that game until the final drive. And then he made some big plays to his credit. But he's going to have to be excellent in this football game. No bad sacks taken in it to ruin a drive, maybe potentially take you out of field goal range or make it from 3rd and 5 to 3rd and 15. You can't turn the football over against Indiana and give them good field position. I just don't see the offense doing enough because I don't trust the quarterback. Defense could make it interesting, but good luck stopping them, right? Okay, you stop the run, great. Now you get to go against, I don't know, the guy who won the Heisman Trophy at quarterback, who has more touchdown passes than incompletions in the playoffs.
And Miami's offense has really been predicated on the run in this playoff.
Good luck.
And Indiana has the second best run defense in the country this year, behind only Texas Tech. So that's another area where I just don't think they're going to have the same amount of success on the ground. To be fair to Miami, though, Ohio State also had an excellent run defense this year. They were top 10 in the country. Miami did a pretty good job of running it against them. Carson Beck did not have a great game there, though. He finished the day with 130 yards through the air, so it wasn't as if it was this dominant performance by Carson Beck through the air. They just defensively did enough. That was a game that was won by their defense. And I think if they're able to take down Indiana, it will be kind of similar to that Iowa game. That would have to be the formula for Miami in this national title game. If you think Miami's going to win, let me put it this way. If you think Miami's going to win this game, I would recommend taking Miami on the money line and the under 47.5. Because it's hard for me to imagine a scenario where Miami wins this game in a shootout. And that's what it would require for this thing to go over 47.5 points, with Miami getting the W, because it's an 8.5 point line right now in favor of Indiana. If you think Vegas is just flat out wrong, they don't know what they're doing, they're underestimating Miami once again, you can make some really good money off of this game. Take the under, take Miami on the money line. I will not be doing that. I will go ahead and take the Indiana Hoosier side of things. Plus 8.5, though, that is interesting to me. That's a big line. But if you're just telling me who's going to win this game outright, I think Indiana's clearly the better team.
Yeah, I would even lean Indiana on the spread. I'm kind of without.
8.5?
Yeah, I don't know that. I just can't picture Miami keeping this close.
I think they've kept it close because these other teams haven't been as elite as we thought. I think Indiana is as elite as we thought. And I think they are clear-cut the best team. You made the comp earlier this week, right? The last time they've done what they're doing, 2012 Alabama, if I'm not mistaken. There's no way that Miami team is able to keep up pace with that type of talent.
From the 636, guys, Indiana scored more than the over in the last game by themselves. No way this goes under the point total. Maybe not. If you think Indiana's going to win, then I think the over is a more than reasonable play. If you think Indiana's going to win. If you think Miami's going to win the game, I don't think that they're going to do so by outscoring them like 31-20.
Yeah, they got to do it like 17-10.
20-17, something like that. That's what I'm saying, is if you think the game is going to go a certain way, if you think Miami's going to win, it probably has to go that way. And that's the way you hit the under. So that's why I like those things parlayed together. You're saying if this, then that. If it's a low-scoring game, then I think Miami can win. And so it's correlated play there. All right, coming up in about 10 minutes or so, what's next for the Cardinals offseason? They have now traded most of their significant salaries off of the books. Honestly, all of their significant salaries off of the books. That was always the number one goal, it seemed like, going into the offseason. What comes after that? We'll talk about that in about 10 minutes. The Junk Drawer next here on 101 ESPN. Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. Alex, what do you have for us today in the junk drawer?
So, guys, I was getting swole yesterday, as I typically do, and BK was there as well. Good to see you, buddy.
Thanks, man.
Why'd you sound so negative about that? Which, by the way, he tried to sneak into the locker room, thought I'd be changing out in those areas. He knows better than that. I was changing before anybody.
That.
No. I think I framed it properly.
I didn't try to sneak in. I was finished with my workout and went to the locker room where I prepared to shower as Alex was leaving.
T-Bone, who do you believe more, man? Come on. You believe me.
I believe BK.
No, you believe me. Anyway, I saw something that, I don't want to say upset me, but I was just like, man, what are you doing? I don't know about you, but like I bring a change of clothes and like I got workout clothes to get into, and because I'm typically there for like an hour. I'm there, I'm in the middle of working out, and I see an individual walk in. And he walks in with this like work clothes. Like he comes in with like what he was wearing. Mm-hmm. He walks in, does about 20 to 30 minutes of machine work, dumbbell work, and just walks out. Now, I don't know about you, but, like, I don't like that feeling. First of all, I can't work out in, like, jeans or work clothes. Second of all, I sweat. There's no way I'm going to go work out and be like, all right, I'm just going to leave now, go back to work or wherever I'm going to go. Because this was like at 2:45. Sure. So I can't imagine his workday was over. Maybe it was, but, like, oh, God, I saw it. I'm like, that's uncomfortable. You're ruining your work clothes, man.
Yeah, what kind of work clothes are we talking about?
I mean, it was a nice polo with a pullover, and he had, I don't want to say they're khakis, but they were like, light khaki pants that looked like work pants, and he was wearing like brown shoes, it looked like.
I mean, maybe he just that was the only 15 minutes yesterday that he had to go get a little bit of a workout in, and he thought, I got 15 minutes to spare here. I'm going to go get a couple of reps in.
And I'm not going to ish on the guy. Like, more power to you to worry about your health and get out there. But you got to give yourself like 5 minutes to change into something, or at least like not have to go back to work in the same clothes.
You got 15 minutes and I got to change into my clothes and then out of them as well to go back up. I mean, at that point, it's not even worth going down.
God, but you're just going to go sit in your sweat.
Sure. If you don't have to be around other people, I've got no problem with that.
Oh, it's not even about other people. I don't like that feeling.
I don't love it either. I want to immediately shower after finishing my workout, but
you're
if
sweaty
it's 15 minutes, I mean, what? You're going to get drenched in sweat from doing a few curls and...
I mean, I don't know about you. I'm a sweater, so once it starts, it doesn't stop.
You do know about me. I am very much a sweater.
Yeah, you're nasty, man. You stank.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just something that, again, nothing that pissed me off. I was just like, that poor man's got to go back to work and now be all sweaty and uncomfortable, and you got to wait till you get home. Oh, God, I just don't like that.
Hey, man, come to the gym as you are. However it is, come on in.
Yeah, watch out, though. BK sneaks into the locker room.
No, I don't.
He did.
Don't say it like that. I don't appreciate it. I go to the locker room to get changed into my workout clothes.
Who do you believe? Come on,
man. I go back to the locker room to get changed out of my workout clothes and to shower.
BK
no, you don't believe BK. Come on, man.
Bit of an exaggerator you are.
No, me?
Yeah.
Get the hell out of here.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. Derrick Goold coming up in about 15 minutes on BK and Ferrario. But next, what is next for the Cardinals this offseason?
Mahomes is long, buddy. I've learned a lot about BK this week. Most of all, he's nasty. He enjoys chilling in his own sweat and loves a good trough. I had 5 people last night at the Blues game walk into the broadcast booth and say, tell BK he's nasty for wanting those troughs back.
All right. Well, I mean, they can have bad opinions too. Just like this guy can come into the gym as he is. They can have bad opinions. That's
I don't
fine.
want somebody touching me while I'm using the urinal. Plain and simple.
Ferrario needs a private gym.
I do, man. I don't have the money for that, though. Technically, it's private when I go. Mostly, there's nobody there. So when somebody walks in, I'm like, oh, man.
What's next for the Cardinals after they traded Nolan Arenado? We'll discuss it here on BK and Ferrario.
BK Underdog is where all of the action lies for football, for NBA, and for me, for hockey. So what I do on a night like this where I don't have Blues to watch, I go over to the Underdog app and I open it up. First of all, promo boost, love those. Second of all, I go over to the NHL and I put together a 6-pick play. Here we go. Listen up, because this pays 20-1, BK.
Writing it down.
Jesper Bratt, higher on points. Vince Dunn, Dylan Cousins, Vincent Trocheck, Owen Tippett, Tage Thompson. All of them higher on half a point. If it hits, 20-1 odds.
Love that. It's super easy to do. Maybe not as easy to hit when you've got 6 different plays, but maybe you just want to put 1 or 2 down. Maybe you want to get involved in the NFL's playoff best ball. That's what I like to do over on the Underdog app this time of the year as well. It's all available for you today. Don't forget about those promos they're running right now, whether it's a gimme pick, a reveal deal, a lot of stuff. It's all available for you on the Underdog app. Download it today. Use our promo code BKO. You can score $75 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code BKO. Underdog. Make plays. Win money. Must be 18 or older. Present in Missouri. Terms to apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms. _DFS_.html for details. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncbgambling.org. Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. So what's next for the Cardinals this offseason? We know they are done with all of the high-priced veterans. Nolan Arenado's gone, Wilson Contreras gone, Sonny Gray gone. Their books are now basically cleared. Their highest-paid player this season is Nolan Arenado, who will be playing for the Arizona Diamondbacks. After him, it's Dustin May at $12 million. So they have ultimate flexibility for this year and beyond if they want to utilize it. I'd be surprised if they do that right now, but at least that's a possibility. Alex, what do you think comes next?
I think Brendan Donovan comes next. I think that's the last thing on their to-do list before they can prepare for spring training. And I think this is just a waiting game right now for Chaim Bloom. You're just waiting for these teams to call you back and say, like, I think Chaim Bloom has presented to the teams that are interested in Brendan Donovan and saying, this is what it will take to trade for him. When you're ready to make that move, call me. And all of these other teams said, yeah, we'll give you a call because we're going to see about Bo Bichette. We're going to see about Alex Bregman. We're going to see about Nico Horner. We'll give you a call back. And now you're about to hit the finish line because with the exception of Nico Horner, because it sounds like Bo Bichette's going to be signing with the Phillies at some point, and I don't think Nico Horner's getting traded, these teams have no other options. So now it's just a matter of waiting for the team to say, fine, we'll pony up, we'll pay for Brendan Donovan. And when that happens, cool, we're done. We're done. Let's go into spring training with this roster unless somebody surprises us with the phone call.
Yeah, I think it's trade Donovan, and then you at least remain open still on moving like a JoJo, a Nootbaar if you get blown away with an offer, a Gorman, I think they would still listen to a little bit as well. And then, like, that might be it. I wonder if they're going to do a smaller signing where they add someone maybe to their bench because it's hard to figure out who's on the bench right now for this team. But that's such a small signing that it won't be anything of significance. I couldn't even pinpoint somebody for you. They'll make the move, we'll look at it and go, okay, he'll be a spot starter for him when they need it.
Austin Slater, the Harrison Bader, those kinds of guys. The $10 million 1 year outfield reliever. He'll either
be a platoon outfield bat, or he'll be a guy that maybe they just bring a veteran in that could be like a backup infielder for him. Because right now, I guess their backup infielder would be Fermin. Yeah, so like maybe you upgrade on that, but even if you don't, it's not the end of the world. But yeah, I think the number one thing that they still have to do is trade Brendan Donovan and get those prospects that they're looking for. Outside of that, I don't think anything else is like hey, you need to do it by the time we get to spring training.
I think there's a lot that they could do. I think they could trade Pedro Baez. I think they could trade Lars Nootbaar. We've already mentioned Brendan Donovan. It doesn't seem as though Alec Burleson is even a candidate to be traded at this point. I think they want to build around him. I think they could, depending on what they get in return for Brendan Donovan, trade one of Matthew Liberatore or Andre Palante if that's something they're compelled to do. How many of those are likely to happen? Well, we had the question earlier today, over under 1.5 trades the rest of the offseason, or players traded the rest of the offseason. I would take the under. I think Donnie's the one guy that is probably going to be dealt. And it's, I would say, not a coincidence. He is the oldest player currently on the roster outside of the bullpen.
Wow. Jeez.
Can you guys believe that?
No.
Brendan Donovan is 29 years old, and he is your oldest position player, and he would be the oldest of all of your starters.
And people don't believe this is a rebuild.
I don't know anybody that doesn't believe it. It's definitely that.
According to your tweet last night reaction, people were surprised by it.
Yeah, this is where we're at. The Cardinals are very much in a full rebuild.
And you should be here. Like, I saw somebody text in earlier when we were talking about that tweet reaction to your lineup, and somebody said, look, it's kind of refreshing. Like, I don't like it, but it's kind of refreshing for a team that has lived in a shadow of themselves for 5 years of trying to be something that they couldn't get to, finally saying it's time to move forward.
I wouldn't call it refreshing. I don't know what.
I would, because I was sick
I think it was all avoidable. It's called they just didn't have a pulse on everything. They were, I don't know, 5 years too late.
It was avoidable, but you know why it's refreshing? Because for 3 years I had to hear a guy who's in charge of the team try and sell to me that this is still a playoff team.
I think that's a fair perspective.
And I hated hearing it. I hated to hear a press conference where they would tell me we're going to spend more money and then pull the reins back and not spend more money, try and convince me that Kyle Gibson and Lance Lynn are going to make this team a playoff contender. You weren't a playoff contender. This is... I was done with hearing all we need to do is get in and anything can happen. That's not true. You've gotten rosters that had gotten in and couldn't get it done. They lived in a false world of feeling like all of these young players can turn into something that they can't. We've seen it now. And finally, somebody stepped in and said, this isn't working anymore. We've got bloated contracts for guys that can't play for us anymore. Let's move forward. Let's invest in these younger guys. Let's put some of these young players in positions to succeed. Let's get into the mindset of developing our system so that from A-ball to AAA, these guys know what it takes to be major leaguers. And then when they step in, they're ready to perform. That's why it's refreshing to me.
I agree with everything you just said. That's not going to make it any more enjoyable to watch.
Oh, no, this is going to suck for a couple of years.
Yeah. That's what makes it tough. Is it's the correct thing to do. It was the necessary thing to do.
But how much, again, take yourself away from the now and bigger picture. 3 years from now, let's say Chaim Bloom is successful with this and they develop a couple of stars in their system, in their pitching rotation, and now you get into a competitive window. How much are you looking back on it and saying, God, that sucked for 3 years of being awful?
Oh, it's going to suck. And I'll still say that.
Yeah.
Sure. But when you're winning,
the pain will be worth it if it works. And that's what makes it difficult to me is there is no guarantees
That's what I was about to bring up.
that this pays off.
Absolutely. But why I brought that up was I remember with hockey, it sucked. But when they got from 2011 all the way up until 2021, yeah, you go back and you laugh at let's grow together or grow with us, but the winning was worth that.
It will all... However the next 3 years go, we will look back on it and reverse engineer if it was worth it based upon whether or not they win. We will not be able to know if this was all worth it until we get to the finish line. And if this next core group of players for the Cardinals, they identify and it works, man... Round of applause. You finally, everything Alex just said, That will be the way that we view it. It was refreshing. They finally reached the point where they said, no more. We have to do something different. We have to revamp our system. We have to build around young players. We have to get rid of these bloated contracts. We have to finally acknowledge we're not good enough right now. And if we get to the point where they are contenders again, we'll all say that was the correct decision and they went about it the exact right way. If in 3 years we're still doing this same thing, and they have a couple of these guys, like if in 3 years Alec Burleson and Michael McGreevy and Liam Doyle and JJ Weatherholt and Ivan Herrera are in the same spot that today we're in with Brendan Donovan, and they're talking about trading those guys for future assets, that's when we'll look back and say, what was any of this for? Was this really just about ownership going cheap? Because that's what it'll transition into. It'll go from this was necessary to, oh my God, they're just being cheap and this is the way that they sell it to us. We'll see.
And that's on ownership,
We'll see.
man. That's on ownership because they told fans that when they get back to that point, they're not afraid to spend money.
But that's an easy sell.
Sure.
When you're not there yet.
Yeah.
The tough part is determining when is it time to push? When do we put our foot on the accelerator? Hell, in Chicago right now, they're still talking about it. When do we push? I think you can say the argument like now.
Should have pushed last year.
Agreed. They didn't, though.
Yeah.
And even right now, I think in Chicago, if things go the way that a lot of people are projecting, they're going to say you should have had one more.
Yeah.
You should have had another starter, or you should have had another big-time bat that you added to your core, or you shouldn't have traded Nico Horner if that's the route that they ultimately decide to go down. That is very much similar to where the Cardinals were from 2018 to 2024. Get one more. Remember the reaction to the Goldie thing, where people were mad they traded for Goldie and they said, more. And then the Cardinals were like, we just traded for Paul Goldschmidt. Yeah, more.
Yeah, should have gotten more. Should have got a pitcher.
They messed up. Yeah. They didn't do enough. So that's going to be where this thing is ultimately judged is what comes after this.
Well, and again, that to me is on ownership. Like, to go back to the hockey reference, like when they got to that era, they always put their best foot forward and gave the team a chance to win. And when the team didn't perform, you looked on it and said, well, that's the players. Ryan Miller, that was you didn't get the right players. If ownership is being honest with us and telling us that, and you develop the right guys and say, cool, we're ready to start pushing, and you don't invest in it, then people can get frustrated. If you do invest in it and the team doesn't perform, you look at the players and you'll look back and say, yeah, they got to the point, they just weren't good enough.
He's Alex Ferrario, that is Tanner Hendrickson, and I'm Brandon Kiley. In 15 minutes, more likely to happen. You guys give us two scenarios. We'll tell you which one is more likely. The place to do so is via the Air Comfort Service text line, 314-399-9646. But next, Derrick Goold joins us here on the show, Cardinals beat writer for the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. We'll talk to him about the Cardinals offseason, what comes next in his eyes, how likely it is that Brendan Donovan is a part of this thing on opening day, and want to allow him the opportunity to tell us a little bit about what the Major League Baseball Writers Association here in St. Louis, what they have planned for this Sunday's Baseball Writers Dinner. He'll tell you about that. We'll talk about the Cardinals next with Derrick Goold here on 101 ESPN. Big news in baseball, free agency-wise. Major League Baseball left-handed starter Ranger Suarez is in agreement, according to Ken Rosenthal, on a 5-year, $130 million deal with the Boston Red Sox. Nice fit for them. They had been talking all offseason about adding to their rotation. Started with Sonny Gray. Now they add Ranger Suarez to the mix, a lefty. Really like this deal for the Red Sox. So that is the latest on the Major League Baseball front. Now we localize it with the St. Louis Cardinals, as Cardinals beat writer Derrick Goold of the St. Louis Post-Dispatch joins us now via the Callier and Thompson hotline. Derrick, great to catch up as always, man. How you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you guys for having me on. It's nice to chat with you. Happy New Year. We're still good saying Happy New Year. Happy New Year.
We are. Other people probably aren't. But
2 weeks in, I think you're reaching the point of no return on that front, but we're still there. I feel like that's one of those. Once you talk to somebody for the first time after the new year, it's still okay.
I don't know. I feel like it's just being pleasant to somebody. I think in January you're fine. By the time you hit February, it's probably like, all right, let's move forward.
Well, you guys, of course, know like the baseball writer tradition of saying Happy New Year on opening day, right?
Sure.
So we get to extend it even into sometimes April, but this year March.
You get another 3 months of this.
If anybody has a problem with it, Derek, just say, try and be a little happier.
Yeah, no kidding.
Baseball writers, as Derek knows, a traditionally, perennially happy bunch.
Chipper group we are.
All right, Derek, we're going to talk to you in a little bit about the 66th annual St. Louis Baseball Writers Dinner. It's coming up on Sunday. I want to give you the opportunity to tell our listeners about everything that's going to be there. But for those that aren't familiar, it's a great event each and every year. Doors open 5:30 on Sunday. You can get your tickets right now online. There will be a Q&A session with Chaim Bloom, so that is certainly a big selling point. But let's start by talking a little bit about this Cardinals offseason. The big news yesterday was the Nolan Arenado deal, and you wrote this over at the Post-Dispatch. Their offseason of selling off these big bloated contracts, veterans that have been huge contributors for the Cardinals over the years. It's now basically concluded. Derek, you've covered this team for 2 decades. Did you ever think you would see a day where they would make moves like this as the beat writer?
Oh, that's a great question. I think you always knew it was possible because everybody else had their down cycle, and the Cardinals just seemed, to have the ability to push it that much farther down the road and avoid it. So I didn't think it would get to this point. I never expected to be on the beat when the trend of Hall of Famers potentially ended. I guess we'll only know in hindsight, but you're talking about 100+ years of consecutively having a Hall of Famer in uniform, and it's possible we look at it and go, well, 25 was the end of that. I did not expect that to end on my watch, but that's. You also don't expect kind of the what has led to this point, right? There was a pandemic. There's a team that relies a lot on ticket sales. It couldn't sell tickets. There was a team that was expecting a windfall of broadcast that has only been yanked into the tar pit of the broadcast problems, and is there again right now. As that model becomes extinct, I think. Some of these things that have unfolded have led to this. You just couldn't see. But no, I as I think through your question, no, I didn't really expect to cover a Cardinals team that was just withdrawing from contention.
Derek, to that point of a stretch of just future Hall of Famers on the roster, now that Arenado is gone and Paul Goldschmidt, of course, has been gone, how do you look back on that era with Goldschmidt being acquired and Arenado via trade?
A missed opportunity. The Cardinals had a lot of things going well for them in 2022. With Albert Pujols' chase for 700 home runs. You had Paul Goldschmidt winning the NL MVP. You had Nolan Arenado leading the National League in wins above replacement. Just really one of his career years and one of the best all-around players in the game at that point. A lot of good vibes, obviously, from the farewell tour for Molina and Pujols. And what they were in desperate need of was pitching. And what they did not do was meet the market price for pitching. And as 2023 unfolded and their lack of innings started to show, the whole thing kind of cratered on them at the same time that they had, a dwindle in performance from some of the key guys. So right when they needed either their farm system to produce a hitter to back the lineup as the older players' production lowered or diminished, and also they needed that pitching pipeline to produce. It didn't. You look at, you can almost track it, not to put it on one guy, but look at like Dakota Hudson, right? Like he was right there on the brink of contributing just a balance to the rotation. They don't really replace him, and they don't really replace those innings. And then when he comes back, he's not the same. And, the Cardinals really had a chance to push further, maybe even push, past the puke point, as they would say, past that comfort point, and create a strong team to build on 2022. And instead, the bottom came out from underneath that team.
I find it really fascinating, Derek, because the last number of iterations of the Cardinals baseball has been about building around a star that's not from within. It's been about trying to piece this thing together from a non-homegrown superstar level talent. And now it seems as though they're pivoting, and we'll see if it works or not, but it seems that they're trying to now build around whoever that next guy is that is constructed from within. If you had to make a projection based upon people that are already inside of this organization in some capacity, Derek, who do you think is the most likely star from within?
I mean, J.J. Weatherholt stands out, right? Like he's the guy who, when you look at sort of his profile, his production so far, his style of play, just the different things he can do and how that's likely to translate to the major league level. You don't have to look far for players of similar molds who have excelled in the majors, who have that, have even grown in the majors. He's got the look of a hitter who is going to improve with time, not improve to get into the majors, but improve while he's at the majors. And that is a standout talent. So I think you look at him. I think if you want to look at like maybe more of a high ceiling, but no guarantee, I mean, you got to look at Joshua Baez and what he did this past year. I mean, he is the kind of year he had, the strength that he had, just kind of the style of play that he had and the power he hinted at. That's the kind of outfielder the Cardinals have been looking for a long time. And he might be that guy. No guarantees that he is, and that's where he's different than, say, Weatherholt. But he sure has the look of it at this point and took great strides at the right time, right? You want a prospect. You want a talent like gaining momentum as they near the majors, not like searching for it as their clock winds up and their age gets to a point where they're in the majors.
Derek, I know you guys had the chance to speak with Chaim Bloom yesterday after the whole Arenado transaction that took place. I brought this up a couple of times to BK. How do you think what Chaim Bloom has done this offseason in terms of eating money on Sonny Gray, Wilson Contreras, Nolan Arenado to move them out? How do you think that looks on the John Mozeliak era for the Cardinals fans?
Well, I mean, it's like he's taking it apart, right? I mean, like the core group, you look at what the moves have been made, right, of this whole year. Wilson Contreras, the free agent signed to be the heir to Yadier Molina and continue that momentum that I spoke about a little bit earlier on. Sonny Gray, the Cy Young award-winning runner-up the year before, signed to lead the pitching winter. Gone. Nolan Arenado, the cornerstone, quite literally cornerstone player, that the Cardinals coveted, chased, tried to trade for, finally did to pair with Paul Goldschmidt as two of the best all-around infielders in the game at the time and at the height of their careers. Gone. It's just it's a complete, really dismantling of the core that was supposed to lead the Cardinals into October over the past 3 years. It's a quick and sharp, complete pivot away from it.
Cardinals beat writer for the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, Derrick Goold, joining us here on 101 ESPN. Derek, I'm going to read a tweet now from Jeff Passan to you on the radio, and then I've got a question about it. The Red Sox first signing of the winter is a big one, $130 million for Ranger Suarez, and it gives them a ton of rotation depth with Garrett Crochet, Sonny Gray, Brian Bayo, and so many others. Boston will now turn to adding another bat to its lineup, but that rotation is excellent. Derek, the Red Sox have been in constant communication, it seems, this offseason with the St. Louis Cardinals. I think they would rather add a right-handed bat, but beggars can't be choosers at this point in the offseason. Do you believe the Red Sox line up once again as a potential suitor for Brendan Donovan?
Are you suggesting that they trade Sonny Gray back to the Cardinals?
Yes. What an offseason.
Is that where we're at?
I'll take Garrett Crochet if they don't want to move Gray.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. No, that may. Yeah. I mean, they've been a team that has had consistent interest in Brendan Donovan. You're exactly right about the right-handed bat. You know, they have been out there looking for that kind of batter. Certainly, they thought Bregman would be that guy, right? If they signed him, he's now a Cub, as I'm sure you guys have talked a lot about. But, you know, when you look at where they fit, but also like who has been sort of a constant in the conversation with Brendan Donovan, you know, the Red Sox are on that short list right there with the Mariners, the Giants, the Royals really early on were showing a lot of interest. Arizona had interest in Brendan Donovan, depending on other moves. Like if they had traded Mark, it was a really fascinating kind of series of events that could have happened, right? Like you would have had Bregman sign elsewhere. Maybe the Red Sox make the move for Arenado, but Arizona then trades Ketel Marte to maybe one of the teams that was interested, Giants, Mariners, that kind of thing. But then the Diamondbacks would have moved in on Brendan Donovan. So you had all these like similar pieces that everybody was just kind of looking for the right chair. And I think we're starting to see movement in that. But yeah, I mean, you know, the Red Sox, there's a lot of, look, Brendan Donovan's a very popular player. Every front office likes what he brings because of his versatility and because he can play a lot of different positions. It means they can make moves elsewhere, if that makes sense, right? Like they can go, okay, you're going to play somewhere for us. But we can look at other options at say second or outfield it because you're going to play somewhere. You know, with Red Sox, they have the ability to make that move. They clearly have Bloom's phone number. We know that.
Pitching.
And they have young pitching. That's this winter's mantra, right? That's where we're at covering the Cardinals. We've gone from the pitching winter, which was one winter too late, to the young pitching, which people will probably argue is one winter too late. So here we are. I think it's a match. You know, I know that, like you said, Red Sox were looking for that right-handed bat to kind of fit their ballpark. But if one doesn't surface, then it wouldn't be a shock at all if they kind of up the conversations about Donovan.
As a follow-up on that, Derek, and I know these things are tough. Like we have no idea how these teams internally view all of the prospects and whatnot. But how do you feel about Kyle Harrison as a potential headliner in a deal for Brendan Donovan? He was the pitcher that the Red Sox acquired last year as one of the headliners in the Rafael Devers deal. How would you feel about that as somebody that covers this team?
Yeah, I think you're looking for that level of guy. You know, I'm trying to, off the top of my head, I'm not going to be able to come up with all the names, but you look at like Harrison Wright with the Red Sox, or the group that he left behind from the Giants, right? Or the Mariners have a whole handful of guys, including the switch pitcher, right? You know, it's that kind of talent that the Cardinals are targeting. And when it comes to Donovan, it's that kind of talent that they should expect to get or not make the move, right? And that's kind of where they're at. They want to get the most from moving Donovan, because the chance is to get somebody who is right there on the cusp, right there with a higher, you know, a high promise and years of control, right? You know, they got Fitz, they got Dobbins, they got guys who are ready to be in the rotation or provide depth or be on the shuttle between the minors. What they want to do is find that guy who, you know, could kind of link arms with Liam Doyle and be kind of a top 10 prospect. They want to rewrite once again the kind of top 10 of their internal prospect rankings, if that makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense. Derek, you said something there. Either get that guy or don't make the deal. Would that mean an extension could be in the works for Brendan Donovan? Because my concern with not making that deal now would be that the price only goes down from here because you have less and less control as you continue along. So how would you view the future of Donnie at that point with the Cardinals if a deal doesn't get done this offseason?
Yeah, I don't think it's like that, like cut and dry, right? That it's either trade him or extend him, because you have to also look at like, what does an extension look like for him? He is about to be 30, right? And, you know, so do you extend him to 33? And are you going to win in that window? right? And does he want that, right? Does he want to be part of what might be, an unknown as far as what the Cardinals' next timetable is to be a factor in the NL Central? Or do you go, okay, look, there's a lockout coming. Hey, man, we appreciate you being around. Here's what you want to do. I think that lockout element really adds to your question in the sense that, like, my first initial reaction is no, it doesn't change perceptibly from this year to next year because the team can still, everything that he does right now is still going to be appealing next year. And, the Cardinals can get a strong return then as well, even for 1 year of control. But with a lockout, right, it's a little bit less certain. How rushed will that market be if Major League do come back to play with a few weeks to go before spring training, with a few hours to go through spring training? So I think to your point, you can maximize the trade that you get right now because that's a factor in the future. But that's also a reason why you don't necessarily do an extension because you don't know all the information that you'll have 6 months from now, 9 months from now about when the next window to contend will be, who will be a part of that core, and then 12 months from now, what that next economic structure will look like.
Derrick Goold will be at the 66th annual St. Louis Baseball Writers Dinner at the Missouri Athletic Club. It's coming up on Sunday.
I mean, pending news, like if they make a trade, I might have to miss the dinner.
That's fair.
I might as well.
Yeah, right. He'll be on the stage, gets a text.
It wouldn't be the first time that I've had to leave the stage to go write a story.
That's amazing. Well, if you want to be there, you can do so as well. Doors open at 5:30. Full details online at 2026 STLBBWAA dinner.rsvpify.com, or you can just Google it. Google it. That's the easy way to do it. Check out 101ESPN.com. They've got information over there as well on how you can get your tickets. Derek, what can fans expect if they get themselves tickets to the 66th annual St. Louis Baseball Writers Dinner on Sunday?
They will see the Silver Slugger awarded in person to Alec Burleson. They'll see the Gold Glove awarded in person to both Mason Wynn and also Leonardo Bernal, who won a minor league Gold Glove for his catching. They will see, Han Bloom is going to give a state of the team address to the dinner. He is part of the VIP program. Ricky Horton and I are going to talk to him along with fans during a VIP program that he had to get tickets to that is before the dinner. There will also be a reunion of the 2006 championship team. So Taguchi will be there. Brad Thompson will be there. Jeff Suppan, Aaron Miles, MVP, World Series MVP David Eckstein, and of course Hall of Fame manager Tony La Russa, who texted me where he'd like to be met for the dinner to get there. So he'll be there. And then we have one of our signature awards, which is the Red Shane Deans Medal, which is given to a lifetime commitment and contribution to baseball. That's one of our really big highlight awards, one of the two signature awards that we give, along with the Branch Rickey Award. And it's going to the Carey family. And Chip will be there to receive the Red Shane Deans Medal.
That's going to be an awesome night. And Derek mentioned So Taguchi, the most expensive autograph at this year's Cardinals winter warm-up.
Was it $99? It has to be $99. Please tell me that they did it at $99.
$75, Derek.
It needed to be $99.
Yeah, they missed that one.
Have we learned nothing?
Derek, appreciate the time as always, man. Great to be able to catch up with you. Happy New Year to you and yours as well. We'll talk with you again this weekend as we see you out at the Cardinals winter warm-up.
Sounds good. I'll say the same thing in March to you all.
Thanks, Derrick Goold, Cardinals beat writer for the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. Appreciate his time as always. If you want more information on the Baseball Writers Dinner, again, check it out on the 101 ESPN website. That's probably the easiest way to do so. We've tweeted it out. Derek has tweeted out some information as well, so you can find all of that over on Twitter as well. I find it interesting what he said there about the Brendan Donovan sweepstakes, Alex. The lockout looms. The lack of certainty on what you'll be able to get in return looms on that front as well. I think if I'm watching a market, if the Cardinals decide not to trade Brendan Donovan this offseason, I would pay attention to what either the Cubs or the Astros are able to get for Isaac Paredes or Nico Horner, because those would be the closest comps to Brendan Donovan next year, assuming we play baseball next year. And if it's not a great return or it leaves you wanting more, it will then look to me as if they should probably go ahead and make this right now. The Red Sox, man, they stand out now. After they made this move for a frontline starting pitcher, they don't really have a spot in their rotation, not just for this year, but for the next few years for some of their top pitching prospects. I wonder if this is all setting up for the Cardinals to trade Brendan Donovan to Boston. It really feels that way to me. And I know people will say, like, can't believe he keeps making these moves with Boston. Well, if they keep giving you the best return possible, I don't care. I don't care who you deal with. Just get the best pitcher possible. And they've got 3 of them that are on the cusp right now of being ready for the big leagues on opening day. And honestly, 3 of them that might be the Cardinals opening day starter with the way that things are for the Cardinals right now. So, yeah, I think they're a pretty intriguing team if you're Chaim Bloom.
Yeah, I get it. And I just don't find myself in the camp of, if you don't get the right offer, you don't move Brendan Donovan. Somebody wants Brendan Donovan, and they're willing to pay the price that matches what he's worth. And I don't think you can or should go into this season with Brendan Donovan on your roster.
And to the point on the Red Sox that you just brought up there, I said this when things kind of stalled out between Seattle and San Francisco. Did it always feel like Chaim was waiting for a third team to come back in and try and really up the ante on their offers to kind of maybe force Seattle back to the table and say, hey, we wanted these 2 top prospects. You're only willing to give us 1. Guess what? Boston just called my cell phone. Boston is willing to give me that starting pitcher that you mentioned to Derek, and then he can go back to Seattle and say, hey, here's what Boston's bringing onto the table. I think he was always hoping a third team was going to get back involved in this. That way he could really put more pressure back on Seattle and San Francisco.
Man, they've got the frontline starting pitching. Like they might actually have guys that are their starting pitching prospects are better than Durangelo, the ambidextrous pitcher from Seattle.
Yeah, but they don't have Laz Montez. I want Superman.
No. Could you get 2 of their starting pitching prospects, though?
Okay, we'll talk then. But if you only give me 1, I want Montez.
Okay.
And my ambidextrous pitcher.
It's going to be a fascinating rest of the offseason for
Are the Red
Cardinals.
Sox a team we're going to root for this year in baseball? I mean, they're like Cardinals 2.0 if they get
Why would I root
And
for
I
them?
like all of the guys that they acquired from the Cardinals.
Yeah.
When
like
the Diamondbacks
Donnie,
signed Paul Goldschmidt, I'll be
Contreras.
rooting for them.
I like Goldie, but come on.
Goldie and Arenado.
Yeah,
Big news in the college football front. Did you guys see this?
I did.
Oregon quarterback Dante Moore has announced that he will be returning for 2026. Dylan Raiola signed with Oregon.
So is he going back to
And
the
the
portal?
expectation was when he signed, if Dante Moore comes back, he'll redshirt next year and then be the starting quarterback in 2027. I wonder if he has any regrets about that, because I wonder if he was like, he's not coming back. Let's be real.
He could go
Tennessee
be the-
still has
I was
an
just
opening.
about to say, he could go be the starter at Tennessee.
Alabama might have an opening, too, with Ty Simpson going to the draft.
They've got a kid that they love.
Oh, do
They're
they?
redshirt freshman. So I wonder if we see Raiola reemerge as a portal candidate.
I think we
after
should
this
see the
decision.
first coach pull off a 2-quarterback system.
I would not want to be the number 2 overall pick in this year's draft. Good luck finding a second quarterback.
Might be Ty Simpson.
Chambliss is the guy for me. If I'm a team and I want a quarterback this year, Chambliss is the guy, and you don't have to take him in the first round. He's probably going to be there in like round 3.
Yeah.
I'd take him in the first round if I'm a team for what this quarterback market is.
This draft stinks. Alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK, the Rewind is next.
Tanner Hendrickson here, and the NFL playoffs are underway, and DraftKings Sportsbook is an official sports betting partner of the NFL, and they make every moment feel bigger this postseason. Looking ahead to this weekend, I'm going to go to the Seahawks and San Francisco game today. I like Seahawks on the spread, -7. I'm going Darnold has a big game, 2+ passing touchdowns for him, and of course he's going to connect with his top wide receiver, JSN, so I'm taking him for an anytime touchdown in that game at +305 odds on my parlay. And get this, with DraftKings, they've got early exit protection. So if you have a player in an eligible NFL prop bet that goes down at any point in the first half, you will still get paid in cash. With DraftKings, you are covered through the entire half. So why bet your player props anywhere else? Plus, they've got great selection of live betting options as well when the game gets going. So download that DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code TANNER, that's code TANNER, to turn $5 into $300 in bonus bets if you win. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER, 21+, physically present in Missouri. Eligibility restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets which expire in 7 days. Additional terms at dkng.co/audio. Limited time offer. Tanner Henderson here with the Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. Blues victorious last night as they end up taking down the Carolina Hurricanes 3-0. They will be back in action on Friday when they take on the Tampa Bay Lightning. We'll have pregame coverage Friday starting at 6 o'clock with Alex Ferrario, then puck drop at 7 o'clock with Chris Kerber and Joey Vitale. Baseball news, the Boston Red Sox have signed left-handed starter Ranger Suarez to a 5-year, $130 million deal. And breaking news out of college football, Dante Moore will return to Oregon in the 2026 season. The Sports Center update was brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin heating and air conditioning dealer.
With Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. Blues, good game last night. Started in the second period when Alex Ferrario took over on the play-by-play. Some are wondering if that was a causation.
You never know, man. Sometimes you're just good luck. Maybe I am. We'll find out. I will argue that I've been doing pre and post since 2019 and it hasn't gone well. But maybe it's the play-by-play. That's true.
Good point, T-Bone.
The first in franchise history.
That's true. That's very true. I actually wonder what my record is doing play-by-play. I'll have to go back and look at that.
Definitely won the last two.
Yeah, the last three, because I did two last year in that win streak, and then this one last night. I think I lost the first one I did. I think that was a butt kicking from Nashville, like 6-3.
What was the biggest takeaway from the win last night, Alex, as you were on the call?
The young guys performing. It was Dvorsky being one of the best centers in that game, finding a way to shut down Carolina without Robert Thomas. Stenberg generating more offenses. I think he's got 4 primary assists right now with 7 points in 10 games. And then Jimmy Snuggerud shot. Like, to me, that was a game that you're starting to see what the Blues are trying to transition to, with the exception of not seeing Broberg in the lineup or Holloway in the lineup, with Snuggerud, Dvorsky, Stenberg, Neighbors. That, to me, is signaling that new core, and they're getting the opportunities, and they passed with flying colors last night.
Illinois back in action this evening. They're taking on Northwestern.
Loss
on the road. Northwestern is fine. They don't turn it over. They don't shoot it well from deep. They're okay defensively. Yeah, they're the definition of fine.
They do it the right way, though. They don't go get G-Leaguers over in the European League.
T-Bone, any concern with this one?
No, not really. I think they'll pick them apart offensively, and then they'll run away with it early.
Mizzou back in action tonight as well. T-Bone's going to be in attendance in Columbia this evening. Where are you going for dinner beforehand?
Haven't decided yet.
CJ's?
So, I don't know. Well, the problem is I don't think we're going to be able to get dinner beforehand. It's a 6 o'clock start. We're not leaving until like 3:30, so it's going to be cutting it a little close to the time for tip-off.
A little something for dinner.
Just get there at halftime.
Get there at halftime.
Yeah.
Get dinner after the game? You can do that.
Yeah, it'll be like 8 o'clock. Like, that's not
Flat
too late.
Branch. Go to Flat Branch. Yeah,
Okay.
they do their own beer there.
Hooters.
It's a good spot. You'll enjoy
Hooters.
it.
There's a Hooters in Como.
Mizzou is playing against Auburn this evening. That's a legit coin flip game. I have no idea which direction this will go.
I an Auburn shirt and forgot.
It's the kind of game that if Missouri is going to get to the tournament this year, they probably need to win this one. It's not a must-win, but it's kind of one of those games where if you're going to be able to do it, this is a game you probably need to win.
Just like the Ole Miss game, in my opinion. I know that you told me it was going to be a tough test at Ole Miss.
Yeah.
And that was one of those where you probably need to win that game as well.
Take care of your home games. If you take care of your home games, you'll probably be all right, and then win a couple on the road. But this is one of those home games. It's a coin flip. You're going to win. You will need to win some of these. This one, the Georgia game, is at home. You probably need to win that one. Oklahoma at home, you need to win that one. Mississippi State, that's a must-win because they're bad this year. But a lot of these home games that are coin flips, you got to take care of.
T-Bone really brought up a good point. Like, you don't like Mizzou, so are you going to root for Auburn? Or are you turning a new leaf and you're becoming a Tigers fan?
Or are you just rooting for a close game?
I'm just rooting for a close game, honestly. I'll be putting money on the game, so I'll be rooting for whatever my bet ends up becoming.
Over on the underdog app.
My dad's a Missouri fan, and we've tried to go to Illinois, and we'd never been to a Missouri basketball game, so we're just checking it off the checklist.
Auburn, terrible defensively. And how about this, Alex? Really bad at free throw shooting defense.
Oh, foul them like crazy.
352nd this year in free throw percentage against.
I'm not sure that'll hurt
Missouri,
them.
one of the worst free throw shooting teams in the country, off to a historically bad pace this year. Something's got to give. Something's got to
I hope this game comes down to a free throw.
We'll see which direction that ultimately goes. We will be breaking all of that action down tomorrow here on BK and Ferrario. We will certainly be staying updated on if there is any movement on the trade front for baseball as well. Again, if you missed it just a little bit ago, the Boston Red Sox have made a signing. Ranger Suarez, the former Phillies pitcher, is now a Boston Red Sox. The expectation is they will now use one of their young starting pitchers to potentially go get the hitter that they've been craving so far this offseason. For Alex Ferrario and Tanner Hendrickson, I'm Brandon Kiley. We will talk to you guys tomorrow at 11 a.m. The Fast Lane's coming up next here on 101 ESPN.